I need a motion to return to open session.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is certification of closed session. I need a motion to certify that only the items discussed in closed session were those items in the enabling motion, those items in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act, and also in accordance with 2.23711D of the Virginia Code.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes, for the portion I was present.
Mr. Ivers?
Yes.
Ms. Coran?
Yes.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Ms. Woolsey?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes. We have one motion out of closed session.
I make a motion that we release students A, B, C, and D from compulsory attendance in Montgomery County Public Schools for religious reasons.
Need a second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Ivers?
Yes.
Ms. Coran?
Yes.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Ms. Woolsey?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes. And that concludes all the motions out of closed session. The next item on our agenda, and the one that this board looks forward to the most, is our honors, awards, and recognition. And if you look at the agenda this evening, we have a number of honors, awards, and recognitions. And I believe some of those involve some of the students that may be circling in the background. Please make sure that they're able to move to the front of the room as they will be performing this evening. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Lois Graham as she's going to lead us through our honors, awards, and recognition this evening. Dr. Graham.
As Mr. Jones said, we look forward to this time of our honors, awards, and recognitions. We will begin tonight. I will ask Lise Mayer, our Supervisor of Fine Arts, to come forward. This is music in our Schools Month and Art Month. So Lise is going to share those presentations with us.
Good evening. I'm Annalise Mayer, the Fine Arts Specialist for the county. And I would like to invite Sharon Anderson and the Auburn Middle School Band kids to the front, please. While they're getting set up, March is Youth Art Month, as Dr. Graham just said, and Music in Our Schools Month. And they're going to show off their talents for us to celebrate the music portion.
If the board members would like to move down into the audience for this brief portion of the meeting.
Okay, I am Sharon Anderson, the band director at Auburn Middle School. I thought it would be kind of a neat experience to see middle school as they progress. So I have a 6th grade group today, and I have an 8th grade group. The first group is from my 6th grade woodwind class, and they are playing London Bridge. The 8th graders are going to play a piece that we played in class a couple weeks ago, When Johnny Comes Marching Home. I am not a pianist, so please forgive my piano skills, as they are sometimes good and sometimes not.
think it's nice that we had so many people come out just to hear this band.
I do
Did a
too.
nice job.
To celebrate Youth Art Month, I feel odd talking. To celebrate Youth Art Month in the county, I asked every fine arts teacher if they would please submit one piece of artwork, and we had an art show, and thankfully quite a few of you were able to get away and come and see the art show. It is still on display, and it's over in the other wing of the government building. And please come by, families, please come by and see the artwork. It's quite a great showing. Out front, we have 3 pieces of artwork that are going to be sent to the, let me make sure I get this right, the Virginia School Board Association. They will, if they are chosen to win for the state, for our county, then they'll be on display for a year in the superintendent's office, the state superintendent's office, and then it'll transfer and rotate back and forth between the Virginia School Board Association as well. So we won't know until the group gets back after the first week of May if we have any winners. If you get a chance to look at the 3 pieces of artwork out front, they're amazing. Especially notice the elementary school work. It's quite good. So what I did was I created a little PowerPoint for you, and I'll narrate as we're going. This is the art show that's set up right now. We invited administrators, teachers, parents. We had artists and just a lot of wonderful people coming to look at the art show. This is one part of the hallway. Some art teachers. We had a great showing of students that came to have pictures taken of their work with their art teachers, which was quite fun. Some of our administrators. The work's going to hang in the hallway over there until the end of March, and then we'll send it back. Every year I'm hoping to grow this art show so we have more pieces than the representatives that we have, but it was a great showing. These are the 3 works that are out front. Please be sure you stop by and see them. Thank you.
This time I'm going to ask Jennifer Weaver to come forward. She is the Director of Secondary Education. We had a number of athletic awards this year, so many that we have divided them, and tonight we'll present Blacksburg High School Athletic Awards. Ms. Weaver?
Good evening. As Dr. Graham mentioned, we have a number of state champion athletes. We actually have about 60 that we'll recognize tonight and about another 50 or 60 next month. So we're very proud of them. This evening, we have Blacksburg High School here. We'll be recognizing indoor track, girls and boys, and we'll be recognizing an individual champion in dive. So I would like to ask this time Coach James DeMarco to come forward and introduce his athletes to you, and then afterwards we'll ask Coach Riley to come forward and introduce her winner to you.
Good evening, members of the school board and superintendent. We appreciate everything, having our kids come here tonight. I'd like to bring up the indoor track and field teams, if they can come up to the front, please. Our ladies won the 2014 indoor track and field championships this season. Our boys were the runner-ups. We had 5 state champions on the boys' side and 5 state championship teams, individuals or teams on the girls' side. So the most I've ever seen in my tenure coaching at Blacksburg High School. So to my right is Samantha Marin. She ran in the 2-mile this year, was all-state. Annie K. Combs, also only a freshman, made to state meet in the 2-mile. Jennifer Fleming ran a 5-minute mile, 5 flat, to get second to her teammate Bonnie Engermeyer. And then Carolyn Honeycutt was on our state champion 4x4 team. So Bonnie Engermeyer's not here right now. She has 2 exams tomorrow morning to get ready for. She won the state title in the mile and in the 2-mile. And then Kendall Wiles will be attending, let's see, where's Kendall going? Indiana, thank you. Indiana University on a scholarship. She'll be running for the Hoosiers, and she won the 500 meters and also anchored our 4x4 to a state championship. So our ladies team won our state championship. It was their 7th state championship in 9 years, and the other 2 years they were second. So quite a legacy they have developed. We're also missing Claire Ewing Nelson, a senior, and she'll be just got accepted into Yale University, and if she is going on her visit, they're bringing her on a recruiting visit. If she likes it, she'll be attending Yale next year and running for them also. So that's our 2014 girls track and field state champions. Thank you.
James? James?
Yes.
Is this the group that just broke or won the national
Championship?
rings?
Part of those ladies, Jen Fleming was on that
Tell us
team.
about that.
This weekend they were in New York City for the New Balance National Championships. It's held in the Armory in Manhattan. It's a very prestigious meet. They pretty much play and fly in the top teams from around the country. Our girls in the 4x-mile won our first indoor national championship ever. And Jen Fleming here ran a 5:03 mile, and we were in 10th place after our first leg. And Jen and Claire got us into second, and then Bonnie was 6 seconds behind and caught the girl about 100 meters to go to win. They averaged a about a 5:06 mile in winning that national championship. So the girls get national championship rings and all that good stuff. And I've had. I had about 30 college coaches coming up to me talking about our girls for next year and trying to get their addresses and stuff so they can contact them July 1st when the recruiting period opens. So it was an awesome experience, to say the least.
Best in the nation.
Best in the nation, yep. And they keep getting better and better. 3 of them are juniors, so they'll be back. We do lose Claire again to hopefully Yale. So nice job. Good job, ladies. Our boys, can those state champions come up, please? So on our boys' side, we finished very second to our crosstown rivals. Christiansburg High School had an amazing meet. They beat us by 2.5 points. So Montgomery County had 2 schools go 1-2 at the state indoor championships. We had 5 individual winners. We swept the relays. We won the 4x2, the 4x4, and the 4x8. And every coach loves to say that they did that because it's a lot of teamwork for their peers to get together. Everyone working hard all season to get those handoffs down, and these guys did an absolutely amazing job. We had Will Ingram in a 55 hurdles as a qualifier at the state meet. Had an amazing season, just kept getting better and better, and achieved his goal this year to make it there. Michael Carter, Michael was on our state championship 4x8 team this year that won. They also ran at the national championships this season. They were ranked number 1 in the whole country during the regular season. And then at the national championships at the Armory, we did get second to Chaminade High School in Long Island, New York. Did beat us. The time we ran, 7:41, is the number 5 time, not in the country, but in the history of the United States in track and field for high school sports. So they ran the number 5 time. The team that beat us ran the number 2 time ever. And so it was an absolutely amazing, and we were so close. So it's heartbreaking, but at the same time ecstatic that the guys ran their best time ever out there. So Michael Carr was a part of that team, as was Jacob McCoy. Michael ran 4:23 in the mile this season. Jacob McCoy was in the 500 meters, was second at the state meet. Also was on our 4x4 state championship team and 4x8 state championship team. Jacob Reynolds was on our 4x2 team that won states and our 4x4 team that won states, and also placed in all state honors in the 300 meters. And then to Jacob's left is Flip Bishop. Flip was on our 4x4 state championship team, 4x8, and also ran a heck of a leg in the 500 for us to get all state honors, and was also on that 4x8 team that did so amazing this week. Michael will be going to Virginia Tech to run for the Hokies next season to join his older brother. And then Kenneth Hagan, who is not here tonight, he won the mile and the 1,000 and was the runner-up at the national championships by .18. And at 300 meters into the race, 800 meters, his shoe fell off. And so he had to run the next 500 meters with one spike on, one shoe on, and miss winning the national championship by .18. He'll be running for the University of Virginia next year on a scholarship. So absolutely amazing job for these young men. Flip will be, he's narrowed his choices down to 3 colleges. He had 7, now it's down to 3. So we're anxiously awaiting to see where he ends up. But it was just an absolutely amazing year for us, the best we've ever had. They were the conference championships, Region 3A champions, and then again, the boys were runner-up to a great contest with Christiansburg. So thank you so much.
Next up is the Blacksburg High School diving state champion. Do we have is the coach here tonight? Oh. I thought you were her dad. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you. My name is Chris Riley. This is my 2nd year coaching Blacksburg High School, and I've had the pleasure and opportunity to coach Blacksburg High School for 2 years now. And this year at the state championships, we took 2nd and 3rd in boys diving, and we took 1st, 2nd, and 4th for girls diving. And so it's my pleasure to have with me our state champion for Blacksburg High School, female diver, Pearl Hurst. That's all I have to say.
Christina Gilly, our Supervisor of Special Education, Director of Special Education, would come forward. She will present our next award, which is the Virginia Council for Learning Disabilities Outstanding Teacher of the Year.
Thank you, Dr. Graham, and members of the board. The Council for Learning Disabilities is an internationally based organization who promote excellence in teaching, evidence-based practices, advocacy, and leadership. Each year across the state of Virginia, nominations are sent to the committee for review to elect the Outstanding Teacher of the Year for Virginia. It's my pleasure to let you know and honor that Ms. Nancy Schwab was selected on February the 3rd, 2014 as Virginia's Outstanding Teacher of the Year for this current school year. She's worked with us since 1979 until current. She's worked with students with all types of disabilities. She's a true asset to our division, and we're proud that she's still with us. Thank you, Nancy.
At this time, if Mrs. Weaver will come back to the podium, we will introduce our Seniors of the Month.
Good evening. Tonight we have 4 fantastic seniors to introduce to you. I hope everyone will take a moment to observe their pictures and profiles out in the lobby. This evening, all 4 of our principals are here, so I'd like to start with Mr. I mess up your name every time. I'm so sorry. Carl Pauley, principal of Auburn High School. Brian Kitts is also here from Blacksburg High School. Dr. Sears is here from Christiansburg High School, and Danny Knott's here from Eastern Montgomery High School.
Thank you, Ms. Weaver. I forgive you. Dr. Graham and Dr. Staten and Mr. Jones and members of the board, it's my pleasure to introduce the March Senior of the Month for Auburn High School. With this crowd, I really didn't see if she was here, so I hope Kayla Oliver is here, and if she would come forward with her family at this time. Oh, good. She's here. I had to get a pronunciation there. Oh, that's not Kayla Oliver. There we go. I did that, didn't I? Sorry. This is Kayla Oliver, and she's accompanied this evening by her mom, and dad, Steve and Kathy Oliver, and her sister, Ashley Oliver, and her little nephew, Deglin. I said it right. Oh, she said Deglin. Batting 1,000 tonight. And let me tell you a little bit about our Senior of the Month, Kayla. Kayla is a well-organized and focused student who is very conscientious about her work. She works well in groups and is always willing to help others. Kayla is extraordinarily mature, reliable, responsible, and trustworthy. Respected among her peers, she has risen to positions of leadership over the years. Her pleasant manner and positive attitude in class, in academic competition, athletic competition, and her everyday interactions with people serve as a good role model for other students. It is a pleasure to have had her as a student at Auburn High School for these 4 years. Again, I give you Kayla Oliver.
Good evening. Blacksburg High School is proud to present Bryce Miller Thompson as our Senior of the Month for March. Bryce is accompanied this evening by his parents, Roy and Helen Thompson. Would you all please come forward at this time and be recognized? The following quote comes from Senora Pazzo, Spanish teacher at Blacksburg High School. He states that Bryce is well known for his cooperation, thoughtfulness, trustworthiness, and unselfish sensitivity to listen to and care for others, as evident by his work as a volunteer in the YMCA thrift shop during the summer of 2013. Spanish language and culture has become an important part of his curriculum since he is planning to pursue global affairs as his main career in college. His dedication and hard-working attitude have made him an excellent student at Blacksburg High School. Bryce is well respected by teachers and peers for his wonderful character and his tremendous potential in academics. He is the kind of person that makes every teaching day worthwhile. Congratulations, Bryce.
Dr. Graham, Dr. Staten, Mr. Jones, members of the board. It is with great pride that I introduce to you Christiansburg High School's March Senior of the Month, Ryan Odell Saunders. He is accompanied this evening by his parents, Ronnie and Rhonda Saunders, and I ask that they come forward to join me at this time. Ryan was selected for this recognition based on his academic and athletic contributions to Christiansburg High School, as well as his positive outlook on life. The CHS baseball coach, Tim Dunkelman, described him as a hardworking, trustworthy individual who always strives to excel. All of these are great characteristics which have enhanced the culture of our school while he has been a student. However, his academic excellence and athletic ability pale when compared with his tremendously positive outlook on life. No matter the situation, Ryan can be counted on for a sincere smile and a plan for success. He is always calm, ever confident, and continually displays an infectious optimism that lifts those around him to excel. Ryan is a great student, a solid athlete, and one of the best all-around guys that you'll ever meet. We are proud to have him represent CHS as our Senior of the Month for March 2014. Ryan Saunders.
Dr. Graham, Dr. Staten, Mr. Jones, members of the board, it's my privilege tonight to introduce to you Eastern Montgomery High School's March Senior of the Month, Candace Hope Bean. She's accompanied tonight by her parents and siblings, Patricia, Freddie, Michael, and Leandra. If you guys would come forward, please. Stanley Bragg, band director at Eastern Montgomery High School, had this to say about Candace. Candace has matured into a very hardworking and exceptionally reliable student. She excels as a class leader and is always willing to help her peers as well as younger students. Her leadership and nurturing attitude will be sorely missed in our marching band when she graduates. Candace is accompanied, as I said, she's accompanied by her parents tonight, and we congratulate Candace.
At this time, I'd like to invite Rhonda Baker, our Supervisor of Preschool and Literacy Programs, to come forward. We're very pleased to announce that all of our schools and Montgomery County as a district have been awarded accreditation through the Advanced Ed process, and Rhonda is going to share a little bit about that tonight.
Thank you. Good evening. The work of many went into making this continuing accreditation a reality. Teachers, students, administrators, parents, and support staff all have a role in ensuring the excellence that we are recognizing tonight. Thanks to all. I especially want to recognize and thank a small group of people who served on the Advanced Ed accreditation team. If these people would please stand as I call your name, and you may just stay standing where you are, please. Lois Graham, Jennifer Weaver, Carol Jennings, Danny Knott, Judy Borelski, Jonathan Schultz, Julie Kraft, Laura Williams, Rhonda Baker, and Rochelle. Thank you very much. If we could applaud. The external review visit in November was the culmination of many hours of surveys, focus groups, data gathering, and reporting. During their visit, the team conducted 175 interviews and 53 classroom evaluations. During their exit report, the team commented multiple times on the commitment of all of our staff members to student learning. Specifically, the team commended our support services, our capital improvements, and the use of our model for effective instruction. Will the principals please come forward to receive their individual awards for their schools? If all the principals would please come forward. That's fine. Oh, okay. That will be fine. That will be fine. Yes.
We divided themselves. What was this?
Why is this going on? Mr. Foley is good.
A trade has been made.
Never a dull moment around here. Through the hard work and commitment of all, the district received accreditation. And Mr. Jones, we would like for you to receive the award on behalf of the school board, and that's with a plaque.
This right here?
So that the entire school system received this award, this accreditation, and congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
And so we will do this by school. Auburn Elementary School, Marcia Settle. Auburn High School, Carl Pauley. It is hard to say. What? Auburn Middle School, Guyleen Woodsetzer. Bellevue Elementary School, Tara Grant. Blacksburg High School, Brian Kitts. Blacksburg Middle School, John Wheeler. Christiansburg Elementary School, Kelly Rorick. Christiansburg High School, Dr. Kevin Sears. So I can say Christiansburg Middle School, Mark Bates. Christiansburg Primary School, Oliver Lewis. Eastern Montgomery Elementary School, Denise Boyle. Eastern Montgomery High School, Danny Knott. Falling Branch Elementary School, Julie Vanetestein. Gilbert Linkus Elementary School, Carol Kaler. Harding Elementary School, Megan Marshall. Kipps Elementary School, Chris Widrig. Margaret Beeks Elementary School, Micah Medford. Price's Fork Elementary School, Dolly Cottrell. Shawsville Middle School, David Dickinson. And once more, congratulations to the board and to Mr. Jones for receiving this accreditation. We just congratulate you and thank you for all the support that you give to us.
Thank you, Rhonda, and I would like to echo that congratulations to all the board members, all the schools, and the school system as a whole, and also recognize what a great group of students we have and athletes, as you saw tonight with all of our awards. We will take a 10-minute break so that the board may congratulate all the recipients of awards tonight, and at this time, we'll take a 10-minute break.
Next item on our agenda is public address. And this is where the board sets aside 30 minutes with a maximum of 3 minutes per citizen to address this board on items of educational interest. We have a significant number of people who have signed up to speak this evening. So what we are going to do is we're going to run for the first 30 minutes, and at 30-minute mark, then the board will decide how it would like to extend public address. It does have that option. Note to the public that we will hold strict on the 3 minutes. To be fair to all the other speakers in the audience, I would encourage the audience to refrain from commenting during public address. And I would also indicate that the board does not respond to things that are brought up in public address. We just listen at this point. The process for this evening is going to be where I call out one name, and I'm going to call out a second name and ask that you come and stand next to the podium so that you can be ready to speak after the other speaker's time is either up or they have finished. And with that, I'm going to begin. The first person to speak this evening is Heather Cox, and after Ms. Cox is Roger Green.
Hello, my name is Heather Cox. I live at 1006 Morning Dove Drive in Blacksburg. I'm mom to third grade twins, Mallory and Miles. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you tonight. As the elected Harding Avenue Elementary PTA president, I formally ask you to state at the end of public comment tonight that school closures are off the table, period. Look at this room. You don't have the information to make that choice for a family, a school, a teacher, and our division by the end of this school year. I ask you to state, each of you individually, that you will not close an MCPS school. If you won't make that choice, I ask you to state that school closures will not happen until you proceed with a comprehensive analysis or study based on the best practices approach California uses to evaluate school closure, because Virginia doesn't have a best practices approach. I shared the California process with you in the past and sent a letter to Ms. Drake today asking to share with all of the board, which includes my following comments. There are many reasons closing Harding Avenue is a poor choice. Others will share those reasons so I can do what you always ask, and that's provide solutions. Cut the $575,000 for capital needs. That's line items 29, 30, and 31, and ask for one-time money from the Board of Supervisors. I will advocate for that money to come from the Facilities Reserve Fund, because you need it so that things like the Blacksburg High School roof collapse doesn't happen again. Drop the salary increase, line item number 13. I want the employees to get a raise too, but you gave a raise last year with no guarantees of additional funds for this year. Now we have $500,000 not coming from the state again to help fund the raise from last year and no new county money. To me, this means raises aren't an option. I hope they will be next year. You know I've spoken to support them in the past. You hired people last year with one-time money. One-time money, you made hires. Are they all critical? I agree with line item number 3 to decrease field trip funds by 25%, $25,000, and reallocate based on free and reduced populations. Those kids need the field trips the most, they should get them. Remove line item number 7, $75,600. Online student enrollment would be nice, but it's not a necessary function. For line item number 11, I've heard employees state over and over they don't want to lose their single subscriber benefits. Survey your teachers and find out how they feel about increasing PTR to keep single subscriber benefits. It's not perfect, but it allows your employees a voice. And be sure that that survey asks for other data that can help you interpret the results. I haven't been able to find out anything on the district's website about going after the state strategic compensation bonus. That's a bonus option that gives teachers the opportunity to get a bonus for performance and requires no local funds. Are we investigating that? I've heard Chairman Jones state many times you're stuck with cleaning up the messes made by the federal and state government. I don't disagree.
Your time is up, Mrs. Cox.
Take school closures off the table tonight. Thank you.
Time is up.
Hello, my name is Roger Green, and I'm on here on behalf of my wife, who's a 4th grade teacher. I just come from VA, said I had the high blood pressure, so if I sound jittery, so be it. She's a 4th grade teacher at Auburn Elementary, and I'm addressing somewhat the same things that the previous speaker just addressed. We hear about you're working on a 2015 budget with figures from a 2008 budget. Well, so is the teachers. I like to buy peanut butter and drink coffee and buy gasoline. They've increased 100% in this same time period. Insurance, that's going to cost the teachers an extra $600 a year if they want to keep the PPO. There's a suggestion that the HMO is somewhat better in some cases. But it's not. It's an Obamacare light. That's what HMO is. The field trips, like the lady before me, that's something the kids need and should have. They enjoy it. It's good. It's probably one of the few days in the whole school year that they get educated on something that's important. See if I can read some of my notes here. Basically, I want to make them 3 points. We cut schools, we cut benefits, we cut. It makes you wonder where I'm like Mrs. Franklin, I had to go, where does this stop? I mean, where is this school going to be, this system going to be next year, 5 years, 10 years? Is it going to be in the same shape it is today? I mean, I don't know where the money's coming from, but somehow something's got to turn around. I don't know what or where, but it's, we're going on 6, 7, 8 years of the same thing year after year after year. My wife works 60 to 70 hours a week. Like everyone in her school, they work hard, they're dedicated, they care, and they don't get any help as far as steps. If they were to get a step and they have to pay for the PPO, they go backwards. If they don't get a step and they have to pay for the PPO, they're losing $600 a year. Oh, I just, I don't understand. I do understand there's no money, but why? I mean, I know this
Mr.
county
Green, your
gets
time
money.
is up. Thank you. Your time is up. Next person to speak is Regina Smith, and
Good
after Mrs. Smith is Rochelle Price. Rochelle Price. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the school board. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Regina Smith, and I live in Blacksburg, but I am a teacher at Shawsville Middle School. I remember when I was in Montgomery County Council of PTA Presidents, and the citizens of Shawsville and Elliston packed the school board meeting room in Junction Street. At that time, they asked the board to build them a new high school so that the high school and middle school students could have their own spaces. This school system has understood and supported the need to separate the middle and high school students. As I recall, Mrs. Franklin and Mr. Worth were the two biggest supporters of this, and Eastern Montgomery High School was built. When I first became involved in Montgomery County school politics, I was told that Blacksburg got whatever it wanted and Shawsville and Reiner got what was left over. I soon learned that it was more a big school and little school problem. By sheer size, a big school had more funds than a little school. Shawsville and Reiner wanted to keep their neighborhood schools, and so they had smaller schools and less money. But closing Shawsville Middle School is not a big school, little school issue. It's a strand issue. It's a what's fair and equal issue. It's not the right decision to make. You are essentially saying we are willing to sacrifice the Shawsville students so that Blacksburg, Christiansburg, and Reiner can have what we know is the best education. You are not saying we'll displace you for a couple of years and then we'll bring you back to a new middle school. You and I both know that it's going to be a long time if you close this school, if it ever is opened as a middle school again. The repercussions of closing this school will have a serious effect on the community. New business always looks at the schools that will be in the community should they decide to locate there. Imagine what they will think if they see that the other three stands have a middle school, but not Shawsville Elliston. You can't say it's because there are fewer students. Reiner is about the same size. What can possibly be an acceptable excuse to sacrifice the educational experience of these students? This is discrimination. You have three haves and one have not. And the one that doesn't have is the one with the highest rate of free and reduced lunch, 70%. In these austere times, discrimination is, unfortunately, acceptable. Tough decisions must be made. But though you may have the right to make such a decision, it doesn't make the decision right. The parents in the Shawsville Strand love their children as much as those in Blacksburg, Christiansburg, and Auburn. They want and deserve the best for their children. Please consider carefully before you make the decision to close Shawsville Middle School. At this time, I would like all in support of not closing Shawsville Middle School to please stand. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rochelle Price. I live in Christiansburg, and I'm the parent of a soon-to-be school-aged child. I'm also the co-chair of Montgomery County Prevention Partners, which is the community coalition designed to address the problems that youth in this community are facing, such as teen pregnancy, delinquency, dropout, drugs. And I'm the director of the Boys and Girls Club at Shawsville Middle School, where I've been for the last 9.5 years. As the director of a nonprofit, I understand the importance of budgeting, and I realize the sacrifices that you have to make and the really hard decisions that you have to enforce. However, I think this decision is the wrong choice. The Boys and Girls Club in Charlottesville began in 2004, and we've been supported by 21st Century Community Learning Center funds in a partnership with the school system since 2007. We provide a valuable service for the students of Charlottesville as well as the community as a whole. To date, we've brought in $1.3 million since 2007. And additionally, we are in our first year of another 3-year cycle where we're receiving $178,000 a year for our Christiansburg Middle and Charlottesville Middle School programs. This would total around $356,000 over 3 years. Unfortunately, if SMS closes, we lose these funds. They cannot be transferred to another school. They can't go where the students go, so essentially we would be giving up this money. A little bit about our program. We provide services in areas of education, sports, fitness, and recreation, the arts, health and life skills, as well as we purchase items for the school system and the kids. Most recently, we purchased scholastic reading inventory licenses so that we could better determine the reading levels and which way to go. We collaborate with the teachers as far as grades to figure out what students need extra attention and what we can do to assist them along the way. We've purchased basketball goals, LCD projectors, encyclopedias for the library, reading books for the English department. We work with the PTA to sponsor dances and festivals and events, and we also provide a summer feeding program through the FDA. The idea of middle school was so that during this critical time, the kids would have this specialized attention, and the research shows that kids drop out in middle school. They might leave in high school, but they drop out in middle school. So by providing this additional attention and these specialized initiatives, we can push them on the way to a successful future in graduation and becoming productive citizens. This is a community that already feels like the county doesn't care about them. This is the most disadvantaged area. It has the lowest free and reduced lunch rate. And by closing Charlottesville Middle School, you're sending the message that the standards you've set for the rest of the county do not apply to this area, that the students don't deserve the same quality of education that the other schools in the county get. So I urge you to reconsider. This is a community that already has lost so much. Please don't take something else away from the children. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Jim O'Dowd, and after Jim O'Dowd is Lewis Carr.
My name is Jim O'Dowd. I live at 2431 Mount Tabor Road in Blacksburg. I watched a movie last week. It was called How to Lose Friends and Alienate People. I couldn't help but draw parallels to last week's antics. Let's review some history. In 2012, Harding was added to the list of potential cuts by the superintendent, and it had the desired effect of bringing dozens of Harding parents to this podium to lobby the Board of Supervisors for a 12-cent tax increase. We were one of the most vocal groups supporting the increase, and we were successful. In 2013, in good faith, we again spoke in support of the 2-cent tax increase at your request, and this too we helped to obtain. Additionally, I requested of the supervisors to give you $1.6 million from their surplus of one-time money in November 2012, which you got. I went to Richmond last year to lobby our delegates for more funding, and this year requested of Delegate Habib to remove the top unfunded mandate on this board's list. We sent an analysis of the effective closure of Harding to all of you in October 2012, and again today. None of the findings of this analysis have been refuted by any member of this board nor the administration. Studies show that closing an elementary school reduces the value of homes in its district by 10% minimum. The closure of Harding would reduce the assessed value of the Harding district by $98 million. This in turn reduces the tax revenue by $873,000 and reduces your portion of taxes by $540,000, assuming you get 62% of this revenue. Now, here we are again in familiar territory. It's been a week since the superintendent published her new plan to consider closing Harding in 2015. Some of you have latched on to this idea and feel it would be even better to close the school this coming year in the absence of deliberation and intelligent redistricting of the Blacksburg Strand. The opinion of some on this board appears to be, why put off a logistical and financial nightmare of the future when we can all have it today? The savings are said to be $300,000. These are not true savings, but are instead phantom savings, as our study shows. You will reduce the value of my home by $20,000 or more. Thanks very much. You will lose $540,000 in tax revenue, and you'll put the Blacksburg Strand at 103% capacity in one fell swoop. That would be one appalling example of financial stewardship of the public purse. Through our efforts, we secured you roughly $9 million. $300,000, the value of Harding, is 3.3% of this figure, and less than half a cent in tax revenue. If a 14-cent tax increase won't keep you from closing the place, what will? Should we ask for an additional 15 cents, 20 cents perhaps? Those who proposed the closure of Harding last week have lost the good faith of this community. If you actually do close the school, never again will I stand at this podium and argue for a tax increase on your behalf. But I pledge to stand here, if this happens, and apologize to the Republican supervisors on the board for my having been duped into supporting your desired budgets in the past. Furthermore, if you close the school and do not commission a professional and intelligent redistricting of the entire Blacksburg Strand, I'll be spending at least one Monday night a month in the future at this podium lobbying for a tax decrease. Thank you.
Thank you. After Mr. Carr is Mike Giggs.
Lewis Carr, 158 Carr Circle in Shawsville. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. We've heard a lot about numbers. Basically, that's been my lifetime. I've spent over 40 years working in the finance area. Sometimes it's hard for people to realize what money really means and how much it represents. The operating budget for the school board proposed is $97 million. Now, I know most of you can't see it. I'm holding $3 here in my hand to represent $97 million. The closure of either one of these schools, whether it's Harding Avenue Elementary or Shawsville Middle School, will represent a penny each. It's 3/10 of the budget, 0.3% of the budget. I just wanted everybody to understand the relationship of the money we're talking about. Generally, children are comfortable in their homes just like adults and others throughout all of our lives. Particularly, our children enjoy their homes because they can play and learn in a comfortable setting. And children who are fortunate, like we are in Montgomery County, they have two wonderful homes. They have a home for living in and a home for learning in. Now, these homes are very community-oriented, regardless of whether you're at Harding Avenue or Shawsville Middle School. It's a community, and it's a community setting. Just as the prior speaker talked about the loss of home values, the loss of home values anywhere in the county means the school will suffer, regardless of the amount of funds that may or may not be available. Moving a child out of his home environment is very difficult on a child. It's very difficult on parents, grandparents, others involved. We have a room full of people here tonight, between parents and other educators and friends and other relatives, because of their concern with that. One of the other things that's not been mentioned but should be addressed, should the idea of closing the schools come about, when you move students from one school to another, they become intruders as far as the current students in that school become. And there's a potential for bullying increase. And we don't need that in the county. And we've had enough of that, and we deal with it every day in the school organizations. So remember that whatever needs are out there within the school budget, the need to keep the children in their home schools ranks above them all. Thank you.
After Mr. Is it Griggs or Giggs?
Griggs.
Griggs, okay. After Mr. Griggs is Susan Bailey.
School board members, my name is Mike Griggs and I live in Blacksburg. I stand in opposition to the idea of closing Harding. I have 4 daughters, 3 of whom are currently attending Harding. Harding is an amazing school because of the teachers, administration, and parents working together to educate our children. In 2012-13, Harding ranked number 12 out of 1,000 Virginia schools based on math, reading, test scores. This is an amazement achievement. It is preposterous that the school board yet again revives the idea to close such an excellent school simply for potential savings. 95% of schools closed in the nation in the last 10 years were closed primarily due to underachieving test scores, impending capital costs, and underutilization. The primary reason was never cost savings for a 100% utilized, highly accredited school like Harding. You will be leading the way in that. There are currently 1,880 students in Blacksburg with capacity of 2,036 with room to grow. A drive through the new neighborhoods in Blacksburg reveals the new growth as VT continues to grow. This growth cannot be ignored. If you remove Harding, the capacity goes to 1,794, and with 1,880 students, the district is over capacity. It is appalling that this board continues to raise this issue. The numbers in these arguments should make you squirm in your seat and be uncomfortable for even allowing this to be a topic again. Please stop the madness. How about outsourcing janitorial services? I love our janitors too, but the purpose of this board is to educate students. This is a major savings potential that should be addressed immediately. Who is currently looking into this? Please do a study to find the potential savings and have a forum to hear from county parents on this issue. This is a county-wide issue that will garner more support to put our school district cash flow positive. It is a shame that the same people have to stand up here and defend a small portion of the county for potential savings. How about plan on cutting something major across the board to get everyone interested in this under-budget problem? Art, music, sports. I love these activities, but maybe there's opportunity here to save the budget and entice many more parents to stand up here with more ideas than just our groups. How about a pay-to-play model for all of these activities with needs-based support using the same model as lunches? How much could possibly be saved? Do you know? We cannot do without these activities, but maybe a pay-to-play model across the entire county with needs-based support would put the extra burden squarely on parents of kids instead of requiring another tax increase that affects everyone in the county. These cuts could also be temporary until the county finds itself in a better position. I will commit my time to assist the school board with any of these ideas or projects if anyone on the board is willing to reach out to me. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good evening.
After Miss Bailey is Erica Meitner. Meitner.
Good evening. I know you are each in a very difficult position, and I appreciate your willingness to listen. I recently spent some time reading the vision statement of the school board from your website. You indicate the importance of, quote, cultivating positive relationships based on mutual trust, respect, and open communication among all stakeholders. My questions tonight are these. Have any of you reached out to the teachers and staff at Harding to show respect for the work they continue to do under the stress of possibly losing their workplace year after year after year? Have you provided them with open communication by explaining exactly how choosing to cut their specific positions will save enough money to get the county out of this mess? As a substitute at Harding, I'd like to tell you what I see. I see a staff that supports each other in finding the best way to reach each and every student in that school. I see teachers with fear in their eyes, wondering what will happen to their jobs. I see teachers demonstrating amazing professionalism despite that fear. I see teachers with worry on their brow when they think of what will happen to certain students with whom they have worked so hard and have helped come so far, who could be sent across town to start all over again. Yet they continue to teach with enthusiasm and joy. They continue to put their students first. Every day, they demonstrate the second statement of your vision, quote, holding high expectations for achievement and accountability through effective practices which actively engage students and instill enthusiasm for teaching and learning. Does threatening to close their school for the third year in a row help you achieve that vision? Your third vision statement focuses on, quote, sustaining a nurturing environment that ensures the physical safety and emotional well-being of all individuals within the learning community. Does closing a well-maintained, centrally located building and putting children on a bus to go all the way across town help achieve that vision? Harding recently received a grant through the Safe Routes to School program to install pathways so even more of the student body can walk or bike to school. Your board approved the construction of a beautiful outdoor classroom that is complete and in use. It seems like these two improvements shouldn't have been made if you were going to shut the building down. Your final vision statement describes valuing continuous learning and providing growth opportunities. Again, I have to wonder how picking up an entire student body and putting them across town to fill up another building is valuing continuous learning. I encourage you to stop and consider the consequences of your actions. Consider changes in the budget that won't be so expensive to reverse. It seems to me that raising the PTR and allowing those positions to be lost through attrition makes a lot more sense than targeting a specific staff and sending them all over the county to start over in new schools. There are 3 things I tell my kids when they go somewhere: behave, be kind, be brave. I encourage you to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Erica Meitner. I live at 409 Hartwood Crossing in Blacksburg in the fast-growing Maple Ridge development. I speak to you here tonight on behalf of myself and also the Homeowners Association of Maple Ridge, who opposes the Harding closure. I have a 7-year-old son who's a first grader at Harding, and he loves his school. But I'm concerned that the school board's projections of population growth, 11% over the next 10 years in the Harding Strand, data which was compiled more than 3 years ago, does not take into consideration the building boom of the last 2 years spurred by low interest rates and job growth in the county. As of 2 years ago, my neighborhood, Brittany Meadows, did not exist. In the last 1.5 years, States and Homes has built 44 homes in Maple Ridge, with another 43 planned for the next 2 years. That's 87 new homes total that are not accounted for in the growth projections. According to States and Homes, their average buyer either plans to have children, have infants or toddlers, or have elementary school age children. In the past 1.5 years, 41 children have moved into the new Maple Ridge neighborhoods, many of whom are under 6. Fiddler's Green has 91 lots total with 48 homes that will be built in the next 3 years. Mount Tabor Meadows is moving into phase 2 of construction and planning 20 more homes in the next 2 years. And developer Robert Fralin is planning to build 38 homes in the Harding Strand in the next 3 years. I'm hoping the school board has figured these projections into their growth charts, but I fear they haven't, and I'm wondering how you guys plan to address the population boom if Harding is closed. I'm currently an associate professor at Virginia Tech. My neighbors work for VT and other places, but they've come to Blacksburg because it's an area of growing opportunity. I've met 7 job candidates at VT in the past 3 weeks, and they all ask about Blacksburg schools. It's embarrassing to tell them that they might want to avoid living in the neighborhood closest to campus, because it looks like once again you guys are thinking about closing our award-winning downtown elementary school. School closures point to communities in deep decline, cities like Detroit that are grappling with shrinking populations and steep cuts in public services. VT is a major economic engine for Montgomery County, but families will not want to take jobs here if schools are shutting down. Closing a school is not easily reversible if the county's budget woes ease. Our kids are not ping pong balls. Your own redistricting study conducted by DeJong Richter in 2012 indicated that more than 80% of the parents surveyed in Montgomery County do not want their elementary school kids spending more than 30 minutes on a bus one way to school. Distance to travel was listed as the #1 priority for redistricting by the same study. We moved to town because our home we want to be close to our jobs and our children's school. Harding is 1.9 miles from our home. Lincus is 1.8 miles. Price's Fork is more than 7 miles. If the board decides to close Harding, they need to take on redistricting across the entire Blacksburg Strand to send children closest to the schools closest to their homes in order to provide transportation equity and to save money. Thank you.
Next person signed up is Andrew Lee.
Mr. Jones,
Huh?
it's been 30 minutes.
Oh, I had a different time. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Andrew Lee. My wife Christy and I both live with our family at 802 Petra Pass in Blacksburg. My 2 8-year-old twin daughters, Cameron and Madison, are second graders at Harding Avenue Elementary. My 4-year-old son Alex will be going to kindergarten at Harding Avenue in 2015. In 2002, Christy and I both had an opportunity to move from the Richmond area for our careers. Richmond has large big box schools and large class sizes. We knew we wanted to start a family, and we knew we wanted something different for the education of our future kids. In 2002, my territory began in Roanoke and extended to Tidewater. We looked at numerous neighborhoods in and around Roanoke. We could have lived anywhere we wanted to in the extended Roanoke area. What we found in Montgomery County was neighborhood schools, small class sizes, and a very personalized approach to teaching children. We researched the elementary schools in the county and found Harding Avenue to be among the top elementary schools in the county. In fact, GreatSchools.org, a nonprofit that provides school and performance data, currently ranks Harding Avenue Elementary first in Montgomery County among elementary schools. We chose Montgomery County specifically because of Harding Avenue Elementary. We ended up building a house in the new Mount Tabor Meadows neighborhood in 2009. We were the fifth completed home there. In 2014, there are 32 homes either completed or under construction in Phase 1, which is now full. The builders have just started construction on the first home in Phase 2. When we asked newcomers to the neighborhood and asked why they chose it, other than the quality of the buildings, overwhelmingly the answer is schools. Harding Avenue is mentioned by name. What happens if Harding is closed? Today the area is growing. Families are moving in, not out. Closing out Harding Avenue will reduce revenue long-term and will cause you to deal with this issue in the future, since the budget obviously relies so heavily upon property taxes for its funding. Property values drop and schools close. Harding Avenue is why we chose to live where we live now. I am just one example of many who chose our neighborhood because of the schools, and more specifically because of Harding Avenue Elementary School. My neighborhood is filled with many more families who made that choice for the very same reason. We all bring revenue into the county. Please don't close our school. We need to work together and find ways to consider other options less impactful than the students you're responsible for. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, we've reached the 30-minute limit on public address. This time I'll open it up to any motions to extend public address.
I make a motion that we extend public address until everyone has spoken.
I need a second for that motion.
A second.
Any further discussion on the motion and the second?
I'd like to amend that, possibly, is that we extend for 30 minutes now, take care of our business, our agenda is light, and then continue with public address after that. It has been my history that when we go on and on with public address, when we get ready to take care of business, it becomes a struggle.
I'll accept that amendment, and let me also indicate that, as Mr. Lee indicated, I am one example. If someone has spoken and they've already said what you needed to say, let that be your example, please, and I'll accept your motion.
Okay, so we have an amendment to the motion. I need a second on the amendment.
Second.
We have a second on the amendment. Any further discussion on the amendment? I'd like to make sure we have the amendment correct. You would like to extend it for 30 minutes?
Yes.
Then the board will go into its regular work session, do its business, then we'll come out of that, and then we'll open it back up for public address for those who've signed up or for those who want to speak.
Yes.
Whoa, 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 whoa. That's not the amendment that I accepted. You said you wanted to extend it for 30 minutes.
Right. And then we go into a regular session.
I didn't hear that part. I'm sorry. I can't accept that. I think people have come here to speak before we make decisions. For them to speak after. For them to speak after we've made decisions is fruitless.
We're not making any decisions tonight.
Well, regardless, I think that if they've come to speak, I think we need to hear them.
We didn't make any decisions last week, but we made some statements, and that's what this is after making some statements. And they saw on the agenda that public comment happens at the beginning, and they plan to be here at this time. I think it's only right.
It does also state that it's only 30 minutes long as well.
Now, let's be very clear. There's
Order, please, so the board can conduct its business.
no one here is saying we don't want to hear everyone who wants to speak. But we also have business that we need to be taking care of. That's the board meeting. And how many times have I said, let's take care of business so that we're not taking care of business when we're tired and not necessarily making the best decisions. And then just to have board members say, well, can we postpone these agenda items to another night? That's why the agenda was before us. Now, we want to hear everyone speak, but we do have a responsibility to take care of business.
You did indicate that we weren't making any decisions tonight, So I feel very comfortable with let everyone speak and then have the board meeting, and I'll just soon debate whatever needs to be debated at that point.
Just because we're not making a decision doesn't mean we're not taking care of business.
Usually in the past, we extend the 30 minutes to hear who's been signed up. That's kind of what we've done in the past, because my concern is for the students that are here.
Last year, when we had this same situation, I believe we heard everybody at the beginning of the meeting. I don't remember having business and then going back to speakers at all. And I think we had about 70 speakers. Does anyone have those figures? Does anyone know that?
And I also remember board members at that meeting saying, can we postpone business until another night?
The other issue I would have with that as well, and listen to what I'm saying, is in the business that we are going to be conducting, it gives us a chance to ask questions that are going to be pertaining to the decisions that we are going to have to make in the future. I do know that once public address is over, that the majority of people will leave. So for them to hear some of the same reports and information that we're getting, and then to be able to make comments on those may be beneficial to them as well.
I can guarantee they're not going to leave tonight.
Let's have a vote. We're
There's
talking during the time.
Yeah, there's a motion on the floor. There was a
You
second
want to
it.
extend it to hear every speaker?
Yes.
And we have a second.
We also have an amendment to that
Yeah,
motion, which
so
has
we
been
have,
made
yeah,
and
you're right.
seconded.
So we have an amendment. We have to vote on the amendment first because it was seconded. So the amendment was to extend it to 30 minutes, and then after we conduct our business, to open public address back up again after we conduct our business. With that, I'm going to ask for a vote.
Oh, wait a minute, is there a second to that?
Yeah, there was
Yes.
a second to it.
Okay.
That's the reason we're doing the amendment. Okay? So all those in favor signify by stating this, we're voting for the amendment. Okay? All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Wait, let's do roll call because I didn't hear it.
Ms. Bond?
No.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Ivers?
No.
Ms. Coran?
No.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Ms. Woolsey?
No.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
The amendment failed.
Okay?
So the original motion is to extend public address until every person has spoken.
I make a motion that we extend public address to hear everyone that's been signed up.
Well,
Well, there's already a motion on the
yeah,
floor.
motion in a second, so we have to wait. Yours is different. He wants to hear everybody.
Okay.
Okay? So we need to do Joe's motion now because it has a second.
Are we still under discussion?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is appropriate. I'd like to know how many people are signed up, and I'd like to see a raise of hands as to how many people who have not signed up but want to speak.
We have 29 speakers left that have signed up. Let me take that back. 28. 27 speakers signed up.
Besides the 27 who have already signed up, a raise of hands of those who want to speak beside those folks? We're all set?
I see two.
Two?
Three.
Well, can we accept those two? Ms. Bond?
I'm okay with that.
Okay. So, so,
So the 29 remaining and the two.
yeah, at the most.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Well, the motion is
No, that's not what your motion was. This is a different motion, what Ms. Bond is
It's an
saying.
amendment
but
to the
there's already a
motion.
motion on the floor.
Right. But
I amended that.
if she is amending that, then I'm seconding her amendment.
Right. I amended your motion that we hear everyone just signed up and the two in the room that raised their hand.
Okay, fine.
And she seconded my amendment.
Sure, sounds good to me.
Any further discussion? Roll call on the amendment to basically hear everybody.
No, that's not what the amendment was.
The
The ones
amendment I
right
have is
signed
to
up.
hear the remainder of the people who signed up in advance to
Plus
speak
two,
at the meeting.
plus those two in the back.
Yes, Mr. Ivers. Plus the two additional people who raised their hands.
Thank you.
That was the amendment that I have recorded. Mr. Jones, are you ready for me?
Yeah.
Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Ivers?
Yes.
Ms. Coran?
Yes.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Ms. Woolsey?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries. That's the amendment. We'll now need to vote on the final motion.
Oh, wait, you're going to do roll call.
Yes, I need just a moment,
I know.
please.
I'm waiting on
Thank
you.
so much. Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes. No, I'm sorry.
Mr. Ivers?
Yes.
Ms. Coran?
Yes.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Ms. Woolsey?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So we're going to continue with public address until we've heard those who have signed up and the additional speakers. So again, I'm going to ask the board, I'm going to read off two names, one is speaking and the one after that. I would encourage the audience to refrain from commenting and allow us to move through this in a nice.
Before we start, may I ask a question? This might be is there a possibility we could take a break at about 9:30, 9:45, about a 2 or 3 minute potty break or something like that?
Mr. Ivers, you just duck right through that back door right there if you need to, okay? We're moving on.
The point I'm making is the Board of Supervisors did that last night. They had a break of a few minutes, and I thought it was needed. And I thought, anyway, I would entertain that if the board would consider it.
Sure.
Okay. I'm ready to move forward. I'm not interested in break.
I'm not either.
Okay.
All right. Next person signed up is Susan Marmagath, and after that is Alice Coddington.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Susan West Marmagath. I live at 305 Rucker Road in Blacksburg. I have two children. One is second grade at Harding Avenue, and one is going to hopefully be there as a kindergartner next year. I was born and raised in this county, and this is the place I've always called home. I actually went to Harding the year it opened in 1973. Most of you know me, but I'd like to welcome the two new board members. It's great to have you on board this year. But many of my comments are familiar to the board, but hopefully they'll be new to you. I've stood here for the last 3 years in partnership with many people in this room and with you, and in front of the Board of Supervisors, advocating for tax increases, working together. I've met with student representatives. I've talked to our governor when he was governor-elect. And we've also worked across this county with Auburn, with Bellevue, and now with Shawsville. So I'm standing here on behalf of the whole county, not just Harding Avenue. I'm standing with everybody in this room and others who have been here before to say, don't close any school. Last year, the superintendent promised a transparent process, and she involved us early and often, and we were here just about every board meeting. This year, it's the 11th hour, and here we stand again with no warning that either Shawsville or Harding were going to be on this table. There are three compelling arguments that I'd like you to dive into that really justify why this is a bad decision. The first is, are these $300,000 cost savings realistic? What's not factored into this cost saving? What about the cost of the move? What about the cost of the busing? What about the cost of maintaining these buildings? Because we seem to mothball them and keep them in this county. Secondly, enrollment data. Christiansburg is in need of a new school. Let's not put the Blacksburg strand at overcapacity. We need to invest in putting schools in Christiansburg. Let's not make Blacksburg overcapacity so that in 2 or 3 years, you've got Blacksburg parents and Christiansburg parents standing here and telling you to spend $35 million each on new schools. Let's not do that by closing Harding Avenue. Your 2012 redistricting study showed you two things. Parents don't want their children to have more than 30 minutes to school, and 85 to 95% capacity is optimal. We're already at 96, we're gonna be at 100,000. There are other ways to save money. In November of 2012, we stood before you and we gave you a list of other things to look at. The question I would ask you is, have you investigated those other options to cut money in this budget? And if not, can you please do that? Closing schools is permanent. You can't go back. This is going to affect our community forever. You can cut things this year that you can put back on next year. You can't move those schools back next year. Now, I have 11 minutes just to say there are a list of cuts, of other cuts that Ms. Heather Cox provided to you in November of 2012. I think she sent them to you again today. Please look at those. Don't cut our schools. Thank you very much.
After Ms. Cotting is Jason Boyle.
Good evening. Alice Coddington, 210 Orchard View Lane, Blacksburg. I'm not a public speaker. Forgive me. I'm not going to repeat what everyone else has said because you've already heard it, but you have asked for solutions. I have one potential. I recommend that you contact Montgomery County Schools in Maryland and find out more about the summits that they hold where they bring together multiple parties from the public to their budget table. These are professionals, they are community members, they are parents, they are students. I would also ask that you engage the experts at Virginia Tech as well to help form a task force and take advantage of the many resources right here in our community. The motto of Harding Avenue Elementary is where each child matters. Let's put our heads together and be sure that each school matters as well. As I asked in my email to all of you last Friday, what will your legacy be as board members? Creative thinking and thoughtful planning? Or will it be more of the same tired cuts that we keep seeing year after year? Thank you.
Thank you. After Mr. Boyle is Dreama Foster.
Hello, my name is Jason Boyle, and I'm the owner of Green Valley Builders. We have been a builder and developer of residential and light commercial real estate in the New River Valley since 1997. In recent years, our efforts have been concentrated in the north end of Blacksburg, specifically with a single-family detached development called Mount Tabor Meadows. In the end, we will have added 52 homes in Mount Tabor Meadows, all of which fall into the Harding Avenue School District. Currently, 75% of the homes in Mount Tabor Meadows have children who attend Harding. I can tell you from firsthand experience that being in the Harding School District has been a tremendous advantage for Mount Tabor Meadows. One of the main reasons people decide to build in Mount Tabor Meadows is that their children will be able to attend Harding Avenue. I think Harding Avenue School should be seen as a large contributor to the tax base, an amenity to the community for attracting residents, and a centerpiece of community spirit. Closing Harding Avenue would be a mistake that you could not make up for. Green Valley Builders is in the middle of purchasing 3 acres of commercial property on the north side of town in Blacksburg. We hope to start construction in 2015 on the project, which will include retail, office, and residential spaces. As we look for commercial tenants and other business opportunities as developers, one thing that plays a large role in the success of a business is community and community spirit. Harding Avenue plays a key role in helping develop the type of community that makes businesses that serve people successful. To succeed as a business, which in turn helps developers, builders, bankers, local government, and many others in the area, you need people. You need people going about their everyday life and interacting within the community. Harding Avenue provides the north end of town of Blacksburg with a portion of these people. Harding Avenue is a key player in giving the north end of town a sense of community, which benefits local government, citizens, and anyone with an economic interest in the area. If Harding Avenue were to close tomorrow, I can honestly say that I would seriously reconsider my current offer to purchase the land for the North End Business Park. It would just be too much of a risk knowing that any potential customer with an elementary school child will now bypass North Main Street completely in order to get on Route 460 quicker to take their child to school. Thank you.
Thank you. After Ms. Foster is Dana Ackman.
Good evening. My name is Dreama Foster, and I live at 3381 Allegheny Spring Road in Shawsville. And I'm the parent of an EMES 5th grader. I was going to ask all the Eastmont parents, employees, and students to please stand, but I think you've already got that message. But I am going to ask the EMES 5th graders and those who would attend Shawsville Middle School to please come behind me. As a former school board member, I remember sitting on that side of the table and spending countless hours discussing the importance of the middle school experience. 4 years ago, over $2 million was spent to renovate old CMS so the students of Blacksburg Middle could not only stay together, but have the middle school experience. Fast forward a little while to the discussion related to the Auburn High School and Auburn Middle School. Again, countless hours were spent on discussions related to combining middle and high school students. Again, the decision was made to spend over $22 million on renovating the high school so the middle school students could have that all-important middle school experience. Fast forward a few more years, and here we are again, discussing the middle school experience. However, this time we're not talking about building an extravagant new school or renovating another one. We're talking about robbing these students of their middle school experience. Ironically, these are the exact same ideas, combining students into elementary, middle school, combining them wherever, that were dismissed when we talked about Blacksburg and Auburn middle schools. We have spent over $24 million during the past 4 years to make sure Blacksburg and Auburn middle students have that middle school experience. If the middle school experience was so important for them, then why is it not important for these children standing behind me? Harding Avenue parents, I understand where you're coming from. Most of these students behind me, they've already been through what you're going through. They were forced to consolidate to a much bigger school. They've already been there. To the taxpayers in Montgomery County, do you realize over $5 million has been spent in Shawsville Middle School over the last few years? How do you, as taxpayers, feel about that money being spent and all of a sudden we have no budget money to operate that school? Parents, taxpayers, teachers, and students of Eastmont, take a long, hard look at these 7 individuals sitting in front of you around Dr. Staten. You will hear much discussion from these 7 board members about how the state has reduced funding, how the Board of Supervisors will not raise taxes, and how this decision is being forced upon them. But the bottom line is this: the only 7 people who can decide if you and 230 of your Shawsville Middle School classmates deserve the same middle school experience the other 1,925 middle school students across the county will receive are these 7 individuals. Not the Department of Ed, not state legislators. Anything you do to close our school would be nothing short of discrimination.
Ms. Foster, thank you. After Ms. Agmon is Gary Creed.
Hi, my name is Mindy Quigley. Dana Agman has asked me to speak on her behalf. I'm not going to repeat what so many of my fellow parents and educators have said most ably, but what I can tell you is my experience as someone who's lived through this. I just moved here over the summer from Edinburgh in Scotland, where the budget crisis crunched a little bit sooner than it crunched here. So 3 and 4 years ago, they started this buzzword of consolidation throughout the Edinburgh schools. By the time my daughters started in primary 1, the equivalent of first grade, we had students being taught in trailers, in storerooms, in hallways. There were 30 kids to a class. These were foreseeable growth issues, the same issues that so many of the parents here have described. We know that this is a growing community. And what I don't want to see is 3, 4, 5 years down the line, the same foreseeable problems, the same dire consequences happening here when they're avoidable. And like so many others, I feel the same, that there are cuts that could be made that can be reversed so easily. We all know that if these schools close, they're not going to open them again, are they? So what I ask is that you look at short-term solutions to what we hope will be shorter-term problems and not make a mistake that's going to echo down the years. I just moved here with my daughter over the summer, and she had a hard time settling into a new school. And as one of the Shawsville parents pointed out, our children will become invaders in the new schools that they're being asked to attend. Please, just from my own personal perspective, don't ask my daughter to make that move again. She just got here. She's settled into a wonderful school at Harding, and her teacher, her principal are both here tonight supporting this effort. Please do not close our schools, and please state that you're not going to close schools, because we cannot have this hanging over us year after year after year. Thank you.
After Mr. Creed is Mark Chewbacca.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dr. Staden. My name is Gary Creed, and I've lived in Montgomery County all my life. Thanks for allowing me to speak. I have two questions. One, this concerns the football and baseball field of Shawsville Middle School. As I am sure you know, this field has been used for several years now for the lacrosse team sponsored by the Christiansburg Parks and Rec and a baseball league in Shawsville. But many other activities are also run through that, from cheerleading on. The baseball team has already got the field ready for play this year. It is looking really good. Instead of using the money to tear down our structures down there, if you'll give us the money, we'll put them back into number one shape, and we'll be having fixed for another 20 years. So don't do away with them as you are planning to do. The second, why would you put middle school children into a high school situation when it has been proven time and time again that it does not work? Why should you think that Shawsville should be the only school in Montgomery County with children in high school that should be in middle school? There's no other in Montgomery County. I think I have the reason. The reason is that you think you can discriminate against children because they come from a lower income part of the county. And that is wrong. That's exactly what you're doing. You're discriminating. There's no ifs, no ands, no buts. If you don't have any other school, if you're going to put somebody else into the same situation in the county, let's see you do it. But don't single one school out and say, we're going to try this on you over here because y'all don't have the money to fight it. That's wrong. That's discrimination at its very worst. Also, the Shawsville Rowing Club uses that field down there every year for the 4th of July. We do that to give scholarships to children in high school out of eastern Montgomery County. So when you tear our fields down, don't forget, you're tearing down 3 scholarships a year for children who we try to make money for. Thank you.
After Mr. Chewbacca is Marion Rigger.
Mark Chewbacca, 817 Montgomery Street. Our budget issues actually require a political solution, and therefore we can't afford any political missteps if we're going to alleviate the issues in the coming years. We need smart, transparent financial decisions that gain wide community support to solve this. Let me highlight 3 political missteps surrounding the move to once again include Harding and apparently also Shawsville closing on your list of proposed cuts. This is new information. I'm not just rehashing stuff from the last time. Number 1, it's going to turn the public against you and fuel your critics. The major takeaway from the voters at your public hearing last year was don't close schools. Ignoring studies and the will of voters will add much fuel to the fire for the critics who constantly accuse Montgomery County schools of wasting public money and possibly increase their numbers. We need the public on our side. Number 2, it will anger several key members of the Board of Supervisors. These members have publicly stated opposition to school closings. I draw the line at school closings, said one. I believe these supervisors voted for fund increases last year with the expectation that this issue gets taken off the table. We need every supervisor firmly on our side. I wish Mr. Creed would join us too. In the days of 4-3 and 3-4 votes, this is suicide politically. Number 3, it will anger and demoralize a large group of your best engaged supporters. Ms. Blackburn's opinion piece in the Sunday paper requested voters to engage their state representatives and their supervisors. There's no better group in this county doing exactly what you've asked for them to do and more than many of these Harding parents. The fact that this line item is still in this list is starting to lose that group. And if you lose that group, if we lose that group, we've lost the fight for significant future revenue. This would be an epic mistake. So where do we go instead? I think we secure revenue in the future if we make sensible cuts now. Ones that save the county more money, and actually save money, ones that are reversible, and ones that carry far less risk. Last year's salary increases and extra hiring with one-time money should be scaled back temporarily until that revenue actually materializes. We cannot at this time afford more salary increases. I have never seen attrition data or other evidence to suggest the urgency of these increases, yet they're trotted out every year. Outsourcing of at least some of our maintenance services is an obvious place to look again, and so are other things that other people have said. One not so new idea, I encourage you to seriously consider convening a task force of citizens and staff, a small group, to hash through some of these and other suggestions that have been said. I implore you not to ignore the political realities and to please remove the school closings off the potential list for good. And let's move forward together in a politically prudent way. Thank you.
Thank you. After Ms. Rigger is Melinda Smith.
All right, good evening. Hi. My name is Maren Rieger. I've lived in Blacksburg for about 5 months now. We moved here from New York City, where we lived for about a decade. Our kids attended a top 5 elementary school in the city of New York. In New York City, there are more than 500 public elementary schools. What happens when cuts are made without a careful, in-depth study of near-term growth? This is what I've lived through, and I'd love to bring that experience here. In 4 years, our top 5 elementary school went from an 80% student load to being at 158% of the building capacity. Class sizes went from 18 in kindergarten through second and 20 in third through fifth to 34 to 36 kids in each class. We had art on a cart. We had portable music in the hallway. Nobody had instruments for music. There were very limited mediums in art, and not every grade was able to have those things because the teachers' roles were reduced to part-time. Speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy, special needs, and those types of services were happening in stairwells and in hallways because there were no classrooms for facilities. Special education teachers were forced to float between 2 classrooms. Students paid out of pocket for every field trip, totaling more than $350 per student on average for each year of school that they attended, or the student could stay during the field trip at the school in the office. Lunchroom. The fire code limited the capacity of our lunchroom. The only way to accommodate this was with 20-minute lunches beginning at 10:40 a.m. The students had 20 minutes to get their hot food, sit down at their table, eat it, and get outside to play for 20 minutes. This often resulted in my kids coming home starving. The problem is not improving. This problem isn't getting better in New York because there is no room to build. It's also because nobody took the time ahead of time to study what would happen when they closed the buildings that they closed. They closed the buildings without breaking ground on new buildings, which takes time and money. If school closures are to be on the table, a careful study must be done. A public records search in Montgomery County turned up no results for short-term or near-term growth done in the last 24 months. It takes a very short time to apply for and attain a building permit to break ground for new homes or commercial real estate. It seems to me that the window between the amount of time it takes to do the research and the amount of time it takes to get a building permit needs to be closed so that your data is accurate when you're looking at these and making these decisions. The legacy that you want to leave is up to you, but I hope it wouldn't be one that creates larger problems for the future rather than by making immediate cuts. It's a very short-term solution. I think that looking forward, you can make long-term cuts or short-term cuts, but it's going to be up to you to figure out what legacy you want to leave. And I don't feel like shutting this middle school and this grade school down are going to do it for you.
Thank you. After Ms. Smith is Sabrina Ratcliffe.
Hi, my name is Melinda Smith, and I'm a retired middle school science teacher for Montgomery County Public Schools. And thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. At the Shawsville-Rueton meeting last Thursday night, the discussion turned to our annual 4th of July celebration, and it was announced that the demolition of the Shawsville Middle School Annex was scheduled for July 1st. Well, we knew that was coming. The date was unfortunate, but perhaps we could ask if it could be postponed a few days to accommodate the celebration, but apparently not. Not only were we told that the date was firm, but plans were being made to demolish much of the Shawsville Middle School athletic facility as well, and that was a huge surprise. Many of us in the Shawsville community had donated our own money to save or to have these facilities built several years ago. We all had questions as to why any part of the athletic facilities needed to be demolished. Most of the answers were unsatisfactory and frankly a little bit weird. The light poles were too old. 19 years is too old. The bleachers did not meet code. They were about the same age. The tennis courts had cracks in them, but nothing a little Roundup, tar, and paint couldn't fix, and on and on. And so I started wondering what was going on. If the athletic fields were demolished, what would the Shawsville Middle School students use for their PE programs? Could it be that someone was thinking of closing Shawsville Middle School? Well, if the athletic facilities disappeared this summer, there may be no choice but to close the school. And sure enough, the very next morning, the headlines on the front page of the Roanoke Times said that very thing. That was the speculation. But after having a very nice phone conversation with Dr. Staten, I was relieved to hear that the bidding process has not actually taken place yet for that demolition, nor has a date been set. And so part of my plea to the school board tonight is to ask that the athletic facilities at Shawsville Middle School not be included as part of the demolition plans. Too much hard work and fundraising has gone into these facilities in the Shawsville area. It would be heartbreaking and wasteful to see them demolished. I have been a teacher, and I stood here 15 years ago asking to separate the middle school from the high school. And my ask is to please don't go back 15 years in time by closing this school. Just be fair to the Shawsville Strand. Let us keep our middle school just like every other strand in this county. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sabrina Davidson Radcliffe. I live at 762 Tower Road, Christiansburg, Virginia. I am on the Special Education Advisory Committee for Montgomery County Public Schools. My husband Terry and I live in the town of Christiansburg and pay taxes, of course, like everybody here, but our son Logan attends Shawsville Middle School. He attends Shawsville Middle School because we asked permission from Montgomery County Public Schools because our son Logan has Asperger's. And I'm going to try not to get teared up over this. When it was time for Logan to get ready to attend middle school, we knew that Shawsville was going to be the only choice for him simply because of the smaller setting, the family atmosphere, and there was just no other choice. If Shawsville had not been there, I can tell you he would have been homeschooled. He would not have went to Christiansburg. He would have not went to Blacksburg. And I'm asking you not to close Shawsville simply not because it's a disservice and it's unfair to the other children in Shawsville, because it is. It's not right for you to take something away from these children when they lose so much already. But it's also not fair to take something away from parents if they have children with special needs and they want an option to put their child into a school that is smaller, that is not as chaotic, that has a smaller family atmosphere. If you close this, there is no other option. And that's what I am asking for you. And also, not only would Shawsville Middle School be losing the only middle school in the Strand, but you're sending a message to the children that their education is not as important. And the parents that I've spoke to were very upset about this because they had no idea that this was coming. And they feel betrayed by this. And they feel that you feel that their children are not as worthy as the other children in Montgomery County. And like I said, our family chose for Logan to attend this school. We didn't go there because we lived there. We chose that. And many of the children that have attended this school have went on to attend Radford University, Roanoke College, William & Mary, Virginia Tech, and even Harvard. They have gone into fields of science, human services, medicine, and education. Many have opened businesses in Montgomery County. Many have gone on to become firefighters, EMTs, and police officers. This school has helped shape those children to become the people that they are. Please do not take away something so important in that area. And also, I would like to give this
Ms.
to
Ratcliffe,
you.
your time is up. Thank you. Next person signed up is Pamela Malabad. And after that is Lee Beninsky.
Hi, my name is Pamela Tegelman Malabad. I reside at 231 Price Street in Blacksburg, Virginia. Thank you, school board members, for your service to our community and for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to speak as an advocate for my children. I have a second grader at Harding Avenue and a son who will hopefully be in kindergarten at Harding next year. I'm very concerned with the possibility of all of our school closures as cost-saving methods. Like others, I would very much like to see the cost-saving analysis of school clothings. I have seen that closing each school would save $300,000. However, I have yet to see a line item analysis of this. I don't understand why you would choose to close a school knowing that the Blacksburg Strand would be near at capacity in a few years. Are we really making sure that we're meeting the long-term needs of our growing community? Will you need to then fund additional administration positions? What are some of the additional hidden costs? I am gravely concerned of how closing the school will affect my children in the future. There's been no information that I could find that addresses what will happen to the children currently attending this high-performing community school. I truly hope that you would do the right thing for these children if you end up closing Harding and redistrict the entire Blacksburg Strand. Harding Avenue is currently 1.1 miles from my home. Gilbert Lincas is 1.7 miles. It's my understanding that Gilbert Lincas is at capacity, and so is Beeks, which is 2.9 miles from my home. Where do you propose my children go if you're planning on closing Harding? What are the hidden costs having to bus my kids across town? And what then would you do redistrict the following year? What are the costs of that? That would mean that my daughter would attend 3 different elementary schools in 3 years. The reason my husband and I set roots in Blacksburg was so that we could provide stability and structure to my kids and have them attend a school within their own neighborhood. My children need to feel a sense of place and connection to place, as all children do. This would not happen if you bounce my kid around from school to school. How also is this going to affect the remaining personnel in Montgomery County? Teachers with seniority at all these schools that are proposed to shut down will then need to be shuffled to other locations. We worry about student performance. How is this going to affect student performance when we break up team teachers and shuffle them to different strands and locations and introduce them to entirely new learning environments? I am adamantly opposed to closing all schools, especially Harding. However, if you're going to close my daughter's beloved school, then you must redistrict for the upcoming school year. Do not fail my children. They deserve more from us. They deserve to be our #1 priority and to know that their well-being is being prioritized. I understand that you're in a financial bind and have a tough road ahead of you, but please put our kids and our teaching positions first. Thank you.
Good evening. I don't envy your task. My name's Lee Vishnesky. I live in Shawsville. I've lived there all my life. My father taught at that very school, and he's retired. Everything that everybody else has said is what I was going to say, except for one thing. You need to look into different ways of getting revenue. We don't need more taxes in Montgomery County. We're the highest west of Roanoke in the southwestern portion. Look at doing something as a surcharge on every tech student, $10 per semester. Raise revenue in different ways. Look for a new option. That's really all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Next is Bradley Jenkins, and after Mr. Jenkins is Annalise McComb.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for your time. I know you're challenged with some difficult decisions to make, and I don't envy the spot that you are in, but I do appreciate you all having to hear us out, and thank you again. I would like to say that I am teaching at Shawsville Middle School right now, but I live in Roanoke. In regards to one of the tax comments that came up earlier, I parked in the back. The idea that we are shutting down schools and that I proudly, all caps, bold, underline, italicized, drive all the way to Shawsville to teach these kids has been a public service that I have been blessed with. And I would just like to say, in regards to some of the things that we're talking about tonight, that you as a school board have asked us to buy into certain ideals. One of those being a commitment to graduate, which was one of the first ideals that came across at the beginning of a school year that I was a new member of the Montgomery County Public School System. That commitment to graduate is going to be almost in an ideal way, is almost going to be neglected to these people behind me if we look at any type of statistic that shows what happens to kids that go straight out of an elementary setting to a secondary setting. There was a gentleman in a third grade classroom who was asked to stay after school one day. Teacher said, "Steveland, would you please stay after? Help me catch this mouse in the room." And they found the mouse after class. Teacher went up to him and said, "Thank you very much." And he was curious. "Teacher, ma'am, why did you select me to help find this mouse?" And the teacher looked at him and said, "Steveland, I just don't want you to be discouraged about what you can't do. I want you to be encouraged about what you can do." Steveland Morris later changed his name to Stevie Wonder and became a very renowned musician who was inspired by that third grade teacher, who recognized that when his retinas failed him due to premature birth, he might need some inspiration. And it's those kinds of ideal ways that teachers can empower kids that I don't want to lose. Can those happen in a building that we have built for 4 grades, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, and now we're going to try and make it 5 to 7? It can happen, but as a math teacher, I can tell you the odds become smaller and the probability of that happening becomes smaller. So I just simply ask you that to take a thought for 1 second on another idea that you tried to impose on me as a member of Montgomery County Public Schools. You said, plant a seed and let it grow. Well, here's a seed that I want to plant, and I want you all to think about this. I want you to think about, what did you learn in middle school? And I'm not asking about your subject matter. I want to know what you learned. What did you learn about being a student, being a member of society? Wake up in the morning and think about, what did I learn in middle school to become who I am today? And one thing I learned in middle school is the sun rises in the east.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Annalisa McCone, and I'm a student at Shawsville Middle School. I am speaking for my fellow classmates on why we do not want to move to Eastern Montgomery High School next year. I think that middle schools should not combine with high schools next year. One reason is because some middle school students I go to school with are already being bullied, and putting them in schools with kids that are 5 to 6 years older than them will make the bullying even worse. Some staffs will lose their job because we can only have one principal, one secretary, and one assistant principal. Another reason is because most kids ride buses and some kids stay after school. And at Shawsville Middle School, we already have to do 2 loads for our buses, so then we would have to get more bus drivers. And at Eastern Montgomery High School does not have an after-school program for children that don't ride the bus like me. My final thought is to ask all the school board members to remember what they felt like in middle school and how much pressure they had when they were in middle school, and how much more pressure they would have had to deal with if they had to combine with their high school. My mom went to this school, Sheree McComb, and my best friend Madison's grandfather went to this school. It may be old, but it's still standing strong. That is why I think Shawsville Middle School and Eastern Montgomery High School should not combine together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Ada Rakes and Cheryl Mogner as after her.
Hi, my name is Adara Rakes. I'm a 6th grader at Charlesville Middle School. I love my middle school because it is my stepping stone in preparing me for high school. When I started this year, I was very nervous and lost. I can't imagine going to the high school at this age. I'm not ready, and my fellow classmates are not either. If money is the reason, why are there other schools being built and not combined with their new high schools? We don't need a new school, just the one we currently have. If SMS is closing, will the other middle schools close too? It doesn't seem fair to take one and not the other. Please don't close our school. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Morganer. I grew up in the Shawsville High School community, and I remember for decades always hearing that our school was always left to the bottom of the bucket when it come to financing and opportunities. There were even courses that we could possibly take if we transferred ourselves up to Christiansburg on the bus sometime throughout the day, but we didn't have opportunities. And you know, the real decision to close this school, what it's really saying is that the people aren't important. It's not about the money as much as it is the people. You're essentially telling them that they are second-class citizens, that they are not valuable enough to invest in. And I'm a product of the lack of opportunities in that school system. And I would like to encourage everybody who is from Shawsville, don't let anybody tell you that you cannot accomplish something. That is something that the community has really felt a deep impact for, and it might not have been spoken necessarily, but insinuation is just as heavy a tool as the word. So, you know, it's essentially time to put your money where your mouth is. If you're concerned about the schools, like I am from my community, I have a burden for my community like I've never had growing up, now that I'm an adult. But I would also encourage my district representative to become more of a face-to-face person in the community and really get to know the people, get to know what their concerns are, what kind of things they deal with, because this school it's more, it symbolizes a lot more than you think. It's more than just the school. It has very deep community impact. A lot of community activities revolve around the school, especially the middle school. And I would prefer that people be looked at more than the money, the dollar figure. And I would encourage you to think outside of the box in finding funding, because obviously the old ways aren't working well enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person to speak is Phyllis Meredith, and after Miss Meredith is Angela Shoemate.
I'm not a speaker, so here it goes. My name is Phyllis Meredith. I'm administrative assistant at Eastern Montgomery High School and have been there for 25 years. I was born and raised in Montgomery County. My children, my husband, and I are all graduates of Auburn High School. Working in Shawsville Strand for so long, I've seen firsthand the difference in separating the middle school from the high school has made. In 1995, when the designing of the high school was set in place, it was designed to high school students only. In 2000, when we opened, it was set up in pods, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. There is no simple way you could bring the middle school students into a high school setting and keep them separate. Honestly, would you want your 11 and 12-year-old child mixed in with 18 and 19-year-olds? I'm sorry, I would not. I've seen enough 12 and 13-year-old girls getting pregnant when we were combined babies having babies. We can't break the cycle when things like this are happening. How can you justify giving $22 million to refurbish Auburn High School to be a middle school and close Shawsville Middle? There is approximately 60 student difference. I ask each and every one of you, at the end of, is one end of the county more important than the other? I beg you to know, every child in Montgomery County deserves to have middle school experience. It is not fair for the Shawsville-Elliston students to be punished in this way. Their parents pay taxes just like any other parent does in Montgomery County. I asked you again, would you want your 11-year-old daughter, being pursued by an 18-year-old boy? This is a scenario that you, the board, are setting for the Eastern Montgomery Strand. Thank you.
Thank you. After Ms. Shoemate is Mackenzie Mount.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Angela Shoemate, and I reside in the Shawsville community. I would like to speak about the demolition of the structures and field equipment. There's nothing wrong with the bleachers, press box, concession stand, or the tennis courts that a few dollars will not fix. Please work with the community to get these things repaired. It will save the county more money to repair rather than tear these items down. The lights and the poles were donated by individuals, not by the schools. The press box was donated by our citizens. The money for our tennis courts were donated, and the money for the bleachers for the baseball field were donated by my high school class. We did not come to the school board for any of this. We have saved you money by taking care of it ourselves. Our community and surrounding communities still use these fields. If you were to give us the money that you were going to spend tearing these structures down so we could repair them, then we would all be happy. However, if no money is allocated for the schools to tear down these structures, we will start a campaign to raise the money needed to repair these structures. We owe it to the middle school students to provide the best educational and social benefits during one of their most transitional periods of their lives. Thank you for your time and the work that you do.
Thank you. After Ms. Mount is Benjamin Jansen.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Mount, and I would like to say a few words on why you should keep Shawsville Middle School open. First of all, SMS has great teachers and staff that may lose their jobs if SMS is closed. Also, this school has a history with the people and community. Generations of many families received their education at SMS when it was Shawsville High School, and for even further back as Allegheny District High School. My mother, who has now passed on, grandmother, great-grandmother, aunts, uncles, cousins, and other friends and family have come to this school. You can see the history and character by walking through the school. The steps even have worn indentations from many years of students who have received their education there. I will be in the 8th grade next year, and I will be preparing for the next move by going to high school. If you close SMS, I will be going to high school too early and not prepared to face situations that come with starting high school. And even more concern is the 7th grade going to the high school and being the youngest there, facing being bullied, drugs, and even boy and girl interactions not faced in middle school. Please don't close my school. Think of other ways to save the money. Thank you.
Thank you. After Mr. Jansen is Amy Phillips.
Good evening. My name is Benjamin Jansen. I live at 1802 Happy Hollow in Blacksburg. And I wanted to compliment a point made earlier by Mr. Boyle. Mr. Boyle spoke of the demand for houses in the North Main region being driven in part by the presence of Harding Avenue Elementary. I'm the father of a Harding Avenue kindergartner and 2 future kindergartners, and I bought a house in the North Main region to be in the Harding Avenue district. But I don't mean to say that I chose North Main over some other district to be closer to 460 or perhaps to my office. I mean, we came to Blacksburg. I took a significant pay cut to move to this area. We invested a great deal of money to move my wife's business to Montgomery County. And we made these sacrifices to provide our children the best possible community in which to grow up. And Harding Avenue Elementary is an essential part of that community. If you close that school, you will reduce the value of my home and those of my neighbors. But more importantly, you'll undermine the community that drew us here in the first place. and chip away at the reputation for quality of life that drives vitality and economic growth in this region. Thank you.
Thank you. After Ms. Phillips is Sunshine Latimers.
My name is Amy Phillips. I live in Christiansburg. I know a lot of the board members, and I have to ask that I believe most of your children were afforded a middle school education, and if your kids were going to these schools, would you close them? Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Sunshine Lammers. I live at 5485 Galleon Ridge Road in Blacksburg, and I'm a new member of this community, so this is an interesting experience for me, to say the least. I think everyone in this room has a shared goal, right? We all care about the education of the students and the children of our community. We also have a shared responsibility that we have a budget shortfall that we have to address. And then you have the responsibility of the choice of whether to close schools. And that's what the members of this community over and over are asking you not to do. And apparently, year after year, are asking you not to do. And so I ask that you hear them. And I ask that if you're going to propose that you propose that only when you are going to put on the table in public notice what the cost-benefit analysis is. Because I'm left, as a new member of the community, to try and figure out my own cost-benefit analysis, which may or may not be right. But from the outside looking in, it looks like you're looking to save $600,000 by closing 2 schools. And the costs that we're looking at, in Blacksburg, if you close Harding Avenue Elementary, you will immediately have exceeded the capacity of the schools. You're over 102%. And so are we going to build a new school in a few years? I'm quite sure that the cost is more than $600,000. From the meeting last evening, I understand that we're servicing the debt on multiple new schools already. And I think that's probably not in our best interest when we have a community school that clearly has strong community support. The disruption to the students being relocated, the cost of redistricting, which I understand we've just redistricted, so we're going to incur that cost again. That doesn't make sense. And to put high school students and middle school students together, which apparently 15 years ago, it sounds like, we made the decision that maybe we didn't want to do that, and then we're here today asking to put them together again for $600,000. I can't imagine that that's the right choice either. I'm so proud to see in this community how many members have stepped forward to voice their community, their support of their schools, and also to propose alternatives to raising revenue and avoiding the closure of the schools. And I would like to offer my support in that way. If there is any way I can help you avoid closing these schools, please let me know.
Next signed up is Kurt Zimmerman. After Mr. Zimmerman is Ladale Winling.
Good evening, board members. Kurt Zimmerman, 3596 Indian Meadow Drive, Blacksburg. I have a daughter at Harding Avenue, and I feel somewhat like the Lorax. I come here to speak to you for the schools have no tongue, other than those that are in this room here tonight. I think you've heard a lot of wonderful ideas and suggestions, and the running theme, I'll keep my discussion short. We don't want to see any of our schools closed. This community and region has been recognized nationally as a place where families come, and I hope they will continue to come. And I hope you will continue to make this a type of place that people want to continue to come. Please keep our schools open. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ladale Winling, and I live at 201 Giles Road in Blacksburg. Prior to moving to Blacksburg, the 3 cities I lived in were Chicago, Philadelphia, and Rome. And when my wife passed away from cancer a year ago, leaving me and my 2-year-old son to kind of ponder the future, We sought refuge in Blacksburg, the kind of community that it represented, and particularly in the stability of a home. We moved into what turned out to be the district for a wonderful elementary school. My son actually does not yet attend. I hope he will have the chance, because we've been so impressed with the nature of the community, the neighborhood, the quality of the school, and clearly the loyalty and kind of community bonds that everyone feels there. Moving to a town like Blacksburg from these other larger places offered a unique opportunity, particularly to live in a tight-knit community where the plan indicated promoting infill development that was growing and made a kind of walkable, neighborhood-based lifestyle possible. Should Harding be closed, and should this kind of stability I've chosen for my son and our family, I'd be forced to, of course, reconsider the investment that I made in the home, in our neighborhood, and our future in Blacksburg. So I hope you'll kind of consider that this is one example of hundreds and thousands that people have given testimony to, the kinds of decisions and the kinds of values that people place upon kind of these types of neighborhoods and communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Alyssa Grantham. After Ms. Grantham is Sherry Edwards.
Hi. Thank you for hearing me this evening, and thank you for being so patient with all of us. Hello, I am Alyssa Grantham, a 14-year middle school veteran, a teacher at Shawsville Middle, and a 7-year resident at Reiner. While I oppose the closing of any community school, I will be speaking tonight regarding Shawsville Middle, and I am proud of our community and its show of force, and will be very forgiving of the yawns I see to my students in first period, just so you know. When I go to conferences and in-services or simply to dinner with my teacher friends and we discuss our jobs, one reply that is echoed to me time and time again, "Oh, I could never teach middle school. They're just so different." And they are, and it's a good thing. I am always surprised by this response of fellow educators. I love my middle schoolers and the unique ways that their brains work. And these tweens are very unique. The term alone, tweens, alludes to that uniqueness. They're not children, but they're not adolescent. They are in transition between those areas of development. Research has shown that these tween students need a separate place of learning. They learn best in an environment that caters to their unique developmental needs. For many of our students, our school is also their home. It is a sanctuary where they feel safe to explore their personalities with teachers that don't try to mold them towards expectations that are too low or too high for them. A place to learn without the stresses of sometimes difficult times at home. A place to get a hug of encouragement from staff who get them and truly understand them. Many of our students have already expressed their worry at being crammed into a high school that they are not ready for and around the big kids. They deserve to feel valued. And as a teacher, I have a visual. And you'll probably need this because your blood sugar is probably getting a little low. Sorry. Well, apparently I didn't plan this out very well. And hopefully you won't leave our students out either. A middle school for these middle students is very necessary. You rightfully allow this nurturing environment in all of our other communities. Please do not deprive Shawsville of theirs.
After Ms. Edwards is Karen Shaw.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak. I'll keep my remarks pretty brief. My name is Sherry Lovelace Edwards, and I want you to know that I'm the proud mother of 4 students in Montgomery County Public Schools. Well, I need to correct myself. I have 3 kids in Christiansburg Middle and High School. I have one daughter who graduated last year from Christiansburg High School with honors, and she's on the dean's list at James Madison University. So I think it's, you could say that I'm a very proud supporter of Montgomery County Public School education. But I'm not here tonight as a parent to tell you how much I love Montgomery County Public Schools. I'm here to represent the other 275 kids that I love in Montgomery County Public Schools, and that's the kids of Shawsville Middle School that I teach. So I'm here to talk about them instead. Miss Brenda Blackburn refers to middle school teachers as warriors, and she hits the nail on the head when she calls us warriors, because that's pretty much what we are. We deal with kids in that sixth grade to 8th grade year, going through big transitions in their life. They're trying to find their self-worth. They're trying to find who they are. They're trying to find a sense of identity. And, you know, somewhere along the line, they're trying to get their education too. That's where we step in and try to help them a little bit. And during that time, believe it or not, part of their identity comes from the building that they're in. And it doesn't matter whether that building is brand spanking new and cost millions of dollars to build, or whether that building was built in the 1930s or 1950s. That building is part of their identity. And even at Shawsville Middle School, where the building is old, but the technology is new, that building's part of their identity. And it didn't take me long at Shawsville Middle School to realize that they take pride in their school too. This is my first year there. And from day one, and I mean, my classroom's old. It's an old science classroom, and it's nothing beautiful to look at on the outside, but it's my classroom and it's their classroom. And it's, you know, it's very updated, have all the technology that any of the schools in Montgomery County have, and it works. And I guess I'm standing here before you to implore you not to take the school away from them. As a parent, I'm so proud of the education that my own kids have in Montgomery County Public Schools. And I think as these parents at Shawsville Middle School, that I feel like they have the same right to have the same pride in the education that their kids get that I have in the pride that my kids have too. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Karen Shaw. After Ms. Shaw is Becky Yerrick. I can't read it right.
Hi, I'm Becky Yearout. I'm consulting teacher at Shawsville Middle School this year. Wasn't planning to speak, wasn't prepared to speak, but live with an attorney who says I have to speak, and I want to go home tonight. So here we go. Quickly sharing 2 experiences with you, my own experiences. This year found myself at Shawsville Middle School for the first time. Wasn't planning to be there, wasn't prepared to be there, but was asked to be there. Now find myself blessed to be there. I've been in a lot of schools, done a lot of things during my 25 years. One of the best schools I've ever been, truly. Professional, hardworking staff, hardworking students, great community, wonderful experience. Now let's go back several years, another county, another time, another place. I was an administrator myself. Budget, huge concern, always a concern. I quickly learned there's never enough money. There never will be enough money. Every year will become progressively more difficult. But when our emphasis is on the children and what's really important, we can find it. There is a way when there is no way, and we can make it work. So I am asking that we take our time and we look carefully and we find a way, because there is a way, and we can work together and make it happen if we take our time and choose wisely. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes all that have signed up to speak this evening. I now open it up to the 2 additional speakers. If you will step forward and please state your name and address.
Hello, I'm Tom Roberts. I live at 312 Lansdowne Street in Blacksburg, Virginia. I'm here on a slightly different topic about bringing some money to the school board. It concerns the old Blacksburg Middle School property. In February, the town council announced that they were going to transfer the 1 acre that's bound with the rest of the property back to Montgomery County for free, very generously. They weren't going to make it as part of any deal or any kind of monies, but they haven't said when they're going to do that. If you look into the matter, you'll find that until that 1 acre transfers to the county so that it could be part of the already option to buy that they have there or move on to a new developer in the future, they cannot sell that property. The reason I'm here speaking to you today is I asked that the board here at some point, either tonight or another night, pass a resolution asking the town council, Blacksburg Town Council, to move ahead quickly to transfer that 1 acre. It's been 3 years now. They've said they're going to do it. If they don't do it, that property will sit there for another 5, 10, 15 years unsold, and those revenues will not be coming back to the school board. Myself and the efforts of other citizens are doing a petition to the town of Blacksburg council members asking them to go ahead and transfer the 1 acre. They said they'd do it for free, so let's hold them to it and let's let them do it right away. So I ask you to have a resolution like that so that the other citizens can understand that this is something that's in the favor of the school board and that they want to have this happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Heather Gearhart. My daughter is an 8th grader at Shawsville Middle School. You may wonder why I'm bothering to speak tonight when she is almost through the system that you're contemplating changing. Taylin has had the advantage of growing up and receiving an education in one place through the same friends and all the same schools. This is a promise I made to her when she was small. I myself graduated from the 8th school in 4 different states. That's not something I wanted to do to her, and I feel for the folks at Harding if they have to move their children. When my husband and I settled down to this area in the eastern part of Montgomery County, we picked it on purpose. We specifically chose eastern Montgomery County because of the small class sizes and the more rural environment. We made a compromise by choosing this area. There aren't always the winning sports teams that get every single dollar that they deserve. Teachers are shared with larger schools. Textbooks are older, and sometimes technology is not as readily available. That's part of living in a rural area. And I don't want to point out those injustices, but what I want to do is say that the reallocation of 6th graders to the elementary school and 7th and 8th graders to the high school is very dangerous. Our kids grow up way too fast these days. In elementary school, they have boyfriends and girlfriends. In middle school, they come home knowing about sex, drugs, and drinking. Seeing a pregnant teen in the high school is the norm these days. Middle school is the time when you figure out and test the values instilled by your parents, your church, and yes, your peers. Middle school is often when you date without really leaving school grounds or your protection of your parents' homes. I'm sure we all remember those crazy middle school days when we wore our hair too poofy in the 1980s or wore a leather jacket to school in the middle of the summer just because it was the cool thing to do. Looking back now at my middle school pictures, I really don't know what I was thinking. But at that age, that's the time to make those crazy choices. Middle school is a safe place for you to make mistakes. Middle school is the place to figure yourself out. The point is that these kids need that time and they need the physical space to do it in. Taking that away from them may give them a disservice that will impact them for the rest of your lives. Imagine your 7th grade self interacting with a high school senior. How much more pressure is placed on that 12 or 13-year-old to smoke or drink or have sex when it's an 18-year-old telling them they'll be cool if they do it? The population of eastern Montgomery County may be small in number, but we are united in one voice. We do not want to lose our middle school. I get the temptation to choose the low-hanging fruit from the tree when it comes to the budget. You can slice some large expenses pretty easily with little negative consequences. But those consequences will be making a large impact on these children for the rest of their lives. Please consider more than the numbers when you make this decision. Please take the extra time to think about the lives of the children that will be impacted. Thank you.
Thank you. Based on the motion, that concludes public address. Thank you all for your time and your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Board Member. Thank you for listening.
Next item on our agenda is consent items. Board members, do you have anything you would like to approve for pull for consent and discuss? Hearing none, items are approved on consent. Next item on the agenda is the personnel report. I need a motion to approve the personnel report as presented.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion on the personnel report as presented? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Personnel report is approved. Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is payment of the bills. I need a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the bills? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bills are paid. Next item is the financial summary report. I need a motion to approve the financial summary report.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Financial summary report has been approved. Next item on our agenda is the superintendent's reports, recommendations, and announcements. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. State.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Tonight, we have 4 items to present to you under the superintendent's report. First item is the 2014-15 calendar adjustments. That is presented in response to the feedback from the middle school survey and the release of the 2014 Virginia Tech football schedule. We have made adjustments to some of the elementary early releases on the 2014-15 school calendars. The school calendar and the 12-month employee calendar have been revised, and the following dates have been changed from elementary early release days to early release days for all students. September 23rd, 2014, October 23rd, 2014, changed from the October 30th, 2014, in response to the Virginia Tech football schedule. This includes a Thursday night game on October 23rd, 2014. November 17th, 2014, February 25th, 2015, and April 22nd, 2015. The second item is the facilities update, and at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Baronato to come forward.
I'm sorry, Dr. Staten. I have that as an action item this evening. Was I incorrect?
On the first item?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that?
I didn't have that, but okay. It's,
Yeah.
So we need a motion to approve those changes?
The
Is that what we're
revised
saying?
calendar.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
action item.
Okay, I move to make those changes.
Second.
Any further discussion on the calendar? Been doing this long enough. I know where to slide right in.
Yes, you do.
Roll call, since this is a calendar.
Why not? Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Mr. Ivers?
Yes.
Ms. Coran?
Yes.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Ms. Woolsey?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Staten. I apologize for interrupting.
No, thank you. I think I was just so excited about speaking. You know? Okay, the second item is the facilities update. Now we'll have Mr. Baronato come up and share his update with us.
Good evening. Thank you. Monthly update. The first 3 items are basically the same as last time. We're coming closer to the completion of design of the 2 roof replacements there, sections of those 2 schools. And those we're hoping to get out to bid soon so we could do them this summer. And it's a short summer, so it's going to be a challenge. It's about 5 weeks from the time teachers leave till when they come back. Christiansburg area.
You have a question?
Yes, sir.
On the freeze water damage repairs, insurance pick up that?
Yes, sir.
Pick up 100% of it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
With the exception of the deductible.
Right, well, of course, yeah. I understand that.
Christiansburg area feasibility study that's working, and we expect a draft. I think it's next week on that. We'll find some time, get a group together and our group together and look at that.
So what's the estimated timeline to put that on the agenda?
I'm not sure what Miss Blackburn wants to do, but it should be at least by early May.
Thank you.
Shawsville Middle School Annex, the demolition, as I've been reported, that's still in planning. Right now, we're looking to bid it soon and allow in the bids for the contractors to mobilize after school gets out and before the 4th of July, but just mobilize, and then the celebration can happen as it always does on the 4th of July. And then right after that, the contractors would be allowed to begin their demolition. There's asbestos-containing material in the old school that needs to be done first, and then the main demolition, and we're going to require that the main demolition be completed by the time school starts again. We have been thinking of alternate bid items for other areas adjacent to the annex that the school system doesn't utilize very much. Certainly we want to keep, we were planning on keeping the football field, baseball field, the track, and the tennis courts, but the elements associated with those that we don't really use as a school system. We're thinking now might be a good time to take care of those, possibly demolish them so we don't have another capital expense to keep them updated. I think there are a lot of good ideas out there, maybe to team with different groups to take a second look at that. And I know Dr. Staten is meeting next week on that with Mr. Meadows. So, but the whole concept was minimize the assets that we have to maintain and take care of to the ones that we use. And there are some items there, as some of the speakers mentioned, that basically they need to be renovated and brought up for another period of time's use. The issue is the school system doesn't directly use them. Yes, lots of groups use the fields, and they can continue to use the fields. We'd like to clean it all up and make it as versatile as possible. But it's just that there's some elements, and they're all sort of interconnected. The electricity comes out of one building that I don't think hardly anybody uses. That's the old concession stand. And so that complicates things, but I'm sure we'll be talking about that in the near future to work those things out. And it's not something that has to happen. We're going to focus on the annex itself.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah, I do too.
Everybody's got a question. My question is, when this board voted to demolish the annex, it was the annex. And now we're hearing, oh, there's other stuff we'd like to do too. Well, that was never brought before this board to say that's something that we wanted to do.
Okay, let me field that. Because I think that I want to be clear that it's not been Ms. Blackburn's position, nor any of our position to demolish anything other. There was some discussion that was brought up in looking at the overall project, if there would be any consideration to maintaining how much that cost would be, have someone come out and look at what all that would take to maintain it, to repair it, and to bring it into code. But there's never been any focus by Ms. Blackburn or anyone else in the school district to target any of those items specifically. That's a secondary item, and it's the discussion has always been Shawsville Middle School Annex as our primary focus. That's the primary focus of the bidding process at this time.
Okay, I'm going to have to push back a little bit, because when I hear that people are talking about, let's have people look at this to see how much it's going to cost us to maintain, or how much it's going to cost us to do this, then somebody's talking about it. And I, as a board member, wasn't informed that that conversation was even being considered.
Well, again, I don't think anyone is saying that we're going out and demolish those 3 items. In looking at this, when you sit down in meetings with folks and you start talking about cost effectiveness, certain subjects come up, and that was an item, or those items came up as a discussion item. But there was no specific direction given by anyone to say, go out, target these 3 items, that being the bleachers, the scoreboard, or any other items other than the demolition of the annex itself. Beyond that is just a discussion that has taken place.
And who is this discussion with?
Well, my understanding is that there's been a discussion in some meetings that's taking place that I've not been privy of, that I've not been a part of, nor that I'm aware of Ms. Blackburn ever being a part of those discussions as well. But there is discussions in the community that these items have come up, and there was some concern about how much the cost would be to maintain them.
So then my next question is, Mr. Baronato, do any of these items present a safety concern or a safety issue? I understand the concept of being brought up to code, but I'm more concerned about safety.
Yeah, currently we don't think so, but soon they'll need the lighting poles, for instance. I think they were the early 90s. Someone mentioned 19 years. I thought it was around 1992 that they went up. Very substantial poles. They, like any wood pole, they're splitting naturally. So we think they at least need to be looked at and checked. We called AEP. Could they come and look at them? And they said they get their poles looked at by contract inspectors, and they put us on to them. So we're looking at, we have calls out to a few different companies to give us a quote to come and look at them.
Well, my concern is that the communities are currently using these facilities now, we need to make sure that they're safe. Okay. So, I'm looking to you and to the administration to come back to this board and say, yes, they're safe.
Yes, sir.
Again, I understand that about bringing them up to code, and obviously we need to do that once the funds are available. I'll echo Ms. Franklin's sentiments this was all news to me, and I want to understand, how this discussion developed so that this type of thing doesn't happen again. And my number one priority is safety. I was going to bring this up under new business, but I would like for someone to tell me that all of these facilities are safe because they're currently being used by the community members in that area of the county. And if they're not safe, then we need to address those and find the funds to make them safe. I don't think, me personally, I think we need to focus on what we've talked about, which is the annex, and the rest of it, we need to come back and have a discussion. But I don't think anybody, at least myself, has any interest in demolition of any of the athletic facilities that are much needed in the county.
Yes, sir.
I would like to just also echo Mr. Jones's statements. We definitely want to find out if there are safety issues. Let us know what the cost of that is, especially versus demolition. Obviously, we want to know those things, but I think as we've already heard tonight in the community, there is willingness to work with some different parties within the community to make sure that we get those things up to code and so that they can continue to be used. And again, obviously I wasn't a part of the board when the decision to make to have a demolition for the annex, I know that's already been made, but what I'm hearing now is that none of the athletic facilities were a part of that, and so I would think that would be something we would need to decide on before we proceed with any of that.
Exactly, and we will bring those things to you if that is necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. And we would like to definitely hear if there are safety issues, please let us know those things.
You may proceed.
Some of the other projects that are going on, the third one down, the rubberized track surface that the Blacksburg boosters are funding with Blacksburg High School. We're working with them, and we have that out for bid, and those bids should be in within the next 2 weeks to get that done this summer as well. We've worked recently with the town of Blacksburg and the town of Blacksburg Police and school principals for Harding Avenue and Margaret Beeks and the safe routes to school trails to make sure that the ones that they're designing under those grants are safe, and we think there's a good way forward on that, and we should get some resolution of exactly what those look like soon. What the routes will be of the paths, the fences, the gates, and signs. We'll get the kids to the schools safely, but at the same time, don't invite people that don't need to be there during the school day. The final two, the Bluebird boxes are in. I have in process. I found out today those are complete. You may have seen those along the route of the cross-country course at Blacksburg High School. And a new one that's been submitted that came in today was for some storage sheds to be built by the CTE shops at Blacksburg for their use, and they'll be located behind the greenhouse, pretty small, less than 150 square feet each, and be projects actually by the CTE classes. Again, hard to read, but this is the same thing we've been showing each month, the status of the schools. The former school properties have one that I know of that's moving pretty well. That's the former Price's Fork Elementary School. I attended a rezoning planning meeting last week with the county, and that's being rezoned by the Board of Supervisors and a developer, a prospective developer who has put an offer in for that. So you may see and hear about that rezoning to make that property as valuable as possible, because that comes back to the school system for capital needs.
A question about that. I think it may be more of a county question, but is there money put aside for the demolition of that building if it was going to be demolished, but now it's not? And how does the pots of that kind of money work? Is that money that is available to us now that it's not being demolished, or?
Mm-hmm. I believe, I'm not sure that when we planned and requested the money and the county got the bond for the two elementary schools, that there was demolition of the old in that definition and statement within what the bond covered. So there may be, but best to ask the county. I can ask them.
So do we have an estimated date when that rezoning will be finalized?
I don't have that. I know it goes before the board soon, and they do have a time frame where they're trying to get that accomplished, and so it should be probably within the next month, I think. I know the Planning Commission went out to see it last week, and so it should go before the Planning Commission, then before the Board of Supervisors, and Board of Supervisors are actually party to the rezoning. They're with the developer in that, so it's good.
Okay.
and I'm sure they'll do it when they need to do it. So. And then these are the projects that we've done with the $400,000 allotment. We've recently finished the top one, which was replacing the door hardware at all the schools, and it looks like that sum will be at about $60,000 there, and that leaves approximately $70,000 from the $400,000 budget. The next one on the list was some doors at Christiansburg High School gymnasium, actually 3 sets of doors, an exterior vestibule set of doors, an interior vestibule, and then on the other side of the gym, the set of doors that goes out into the commons. And we're looking at, there's a state contract that's got really good prices for doors, and we're looking to try to put some package together to utilize possibly that remaining money to get those doors.
Question for you. Do we currently, to the best of your knowledge, are we have any properties that we're holding on to that we haven't turned over to the county?
No, the one that's, the deed is not turned over for Shawsville Elementary School yet,
Okay.
but that, I think that's, will be in process at the county.
So every
But,
piece of surplus property that was that was used by the school has now been turned over to the county, and it rests in the county's hands on what to do with it.
Yes.
That's my belief. I just want to make sure I confirm that.
Yes, sir.
And that we have done this in an expedited fashion so the county can move forward with trying to sell properties to help pay down the capital debt.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right. And I'll just add that the county is doing an excellent job of working with getting things rezoned and making sure we get these properties sold to get that revenue back in the county. But there's one piece of property that's hanging out in Blacksburg. That's probably the most valuable piece we have. And it's still 15, 16 years, no movement on that piece. And as one of our speakers spoke tonight, you know, the capital projects that we have in our budget could be greatly affected if that piece of property is sold.
And a showing there, like we had tonight, would also make a great impact. So keep that in mind.
Any other questions for Mr. Baronato? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Board members, our third item is the capital projects update. Mr. Ellsworth, our Skanska representative, will come forward to provide us with an update on the Auburn Middle School project.
Good evening. I'm here to provide a brief update on the progress of the new middle school. And I usually do so through pictures, so I got new pictures. The first picture is a view from Route 8 without snow. This is a few days ago. The difference between what you saw in the last presentation and this one is you can see the roof is going on that portion of the building. And pretty soon you'll see the metal roof decking that'll go on as well. This on the left is a close-up of the admin wing of the building. Similar, the roof structure is going on there. On the back side of the building on the right, that shows the structural frame going up for what will be the new kitchen and dining area and the loading dock area of the building on the west side. This shows a close-up of what on the lower level will be the locker rooms. And you can see the metal decking that's being installed, which pretty soon they'll pour the concrete for the second floor, which will become classrooms on that portion of the building. And on the right, you can see the framing that's going up in the admin wing and the electrical rough end. So it won't be too long, you'll see drywall going in those rooms as well. Installation of ceilings in restroom areas are taking place and some of the finishing of those ceilings. And then on the right is a picture of the improvements to the baseball field at Auburn High School with the scoreboard has been relocated. You could see the warning track that's in place, posts going up for what will be the new fencing for the baseball field. And the project's still on schedule for substantial completion in November. And I'll take any questions.
You're on time and on budget?
On time, on budget. Yes, sir.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Board members, have any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The fourth item and final item on the report, the superintendent's report, is the budget update. On March 13, 2014, the board met in special session for the sole purpose of beginning discussions to consider a variety of options to deal with the $3.9 million shortfall. Last night, March 17, 2014, the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors met in a budget work session. In that meeting, the Board of Supervisors voted to establish a tax rate of 89 cents. What this means for us is that there will be no additional funds added to the school's system's operation or operating budget from the county. With the state remaining unclear on what their final budget will look like, we must deal with the projected $3.9 million shortfall by cutting from the approved needs-based budget. Over the past week, board members have generated several questions for the division staff to answer regarding possible cuts. Those questions involve difficult conversations around increasing the PTR, possible school closures, health insurance incentives, and the elimination or reduction of other educational and operational program needs. We have consolidated the board members' questions, and we are working to provide you with comprehensive responses this week. I have attached the most recent proposal reductions list along with the operating budget, which reflects the $3.9 million shortfall. As you continue your discussion tonight, the staff and I are available to clarify and answer your questions.
Board members, comments or questions?
I guess this is where we get to address some of the things we heard tonight. I would just like to take a few minutes and first of all say thank you to the community for coming out and voicing your opinion about school closures and all of those different items. I'm very proud of the turnout for my particular district. One of the questions I brought up on Thursday, and I want to bring up again, that was reiterated several times tonight in the comments of those who spoke, was the just making sure that we get a good understanding of what that $300,000 per school actually means, where that comes from. And we're going to have to, it's going to hurt somebody. It's either going to hurt our teachers who aren't going to get a raise. It's going to hurt our students because our PTR is going to have to go up. Or if we were to vote as a board to close schools, it's going to hurt some communities. I just want everyone to know that it is going to hurt somewhere. And I know that there are representatives for all three of those potential places. It is a difficult situation. It really absolutely is. We understand that. We hear what you're saying. And we are taking to heart those things that you have brought before us tonight and through all of your wonderful emails and phone calls. Last thing I want to say is that as we make these decisions, let us keep in mind that there are other potential solutions for us to consider. And I want to just reiterate my plea to the superintendent's office that we're looking for those ways. If there's anything that is not on that list that we've been provided, that anyone in discussions, it's something that you've written down somewhere and posted back, we're open for those suggestions, because obviously none of those things are fun things to actually consider. and especially the closing of schools. I can't believe we're considering that.
Board members, other comments, questions?
I just want to ask Mr. Lyons one question. I'm in agreement with you, except why would you want, if your take is we don't close schools, then why would you want a study indicating how much that's going to cost?
I want us to really reiterate the fact that $300,000, if that is in fact the number, that it's not a. I mean, the people have asked for what that $300,000 is. I would like to know what that $300,000 is. What does that really mean? And so the clarification for me is just so that we, as we're making this decision, we understand exactly what it is that we're deciding to do. Obviously, $300,000 is part of that is operating buildings. Part of it is jobs that are going to be lost because they're no longer needed. I just want an analysis of what that sees so everyone else knows what that is. I think we've been asked that repeatedly tonight. And so I am asking for it as well. If the board, even though I've said I will not vote for such a budget, if that's the board's desire to close schools, then I want everyone to know why we're doing that, how it's going to work out, what those numbers, actual numbers are, rather than just pulling a $300,000 figure out of the sky.
Well, to continue, I think we should be careful not to rush to judgment, and to throw two schools on the table, to me, is rushing to judgment. I won't support closing those schools. I've been an educator my whole life. And I spent most of when I was in the schools, I spent most of it in the middle schools. And they're very different people, middle school teachers and students. And everything you heard tonight is very true. You can't do this. You can't put youngsters in a school with high school students and expect anything but possible problems. I had two youngsters, two of my four youngsters went to secondary schools, and my daughter became very worldly very quickly. And I didn't want her to become very worldly very quickly. My son, when he came back from school the very first day, his eyes were as big as saucers. And I asked him what was going on, and he couldn't talk. I don't want those experiences to be relayed to other children. It's not fair. There's middle school students are a different breed, a different animal. They're between the elementary school and the high school. They're in that age where when they ask you a question, it's a real question they're asking you. I want to make sure they're in a setting where they can do that. I want them to be comfortable. One of the things about Shawsville Middle School is it's a home. It's a home for many, many students who are living on free or reduced lunch, and it's poverty. We'll call it poverty. Many of them, 65, 70% of them. They go to school, and they're very comfortable there. It's a home. And obviously the staff is doing a beautiful job with those students. To bring up another point to show how beautiful a job they're doing, when the new principal went into that school, they were not accredited. They've been accredited every year since. And that is very reflective on the administration and the staff. And we want that to continue. We really do. And to move them into another setting, I just don't want to roll the dice that way.
You know, sad to say, if we don't support raises, then we're against education. If we don't support this, then we're against education. And a lot of the decisions we make, that's what we tend to get thrown in our face. Well, so you don't support education, you don't support our teachers, you don't support our schools. And sometimes just because you make hard decisions doesn't mean that. Now, with that being said, that was part of the discussion at our last meeting, okay, let's look into what this might mean. 300,000 was really shocked to me because I thought it would be way more than that. So, and I went home, and I have a 14-year-old 8th grader, and who's a great student. And she is so nervous and so scared about going to Christiansburg High School. I can't imagine, and it really hit me this week, about if she were younger. So, that was one of the things that, and no disrespect, Joe, but whether it's a wealthy community or a less wealthy community, I don't care. It's about the younger kids. And we've had some speakers say, well, we can pull the money from sports and music and things like that. And no disrespect to that speaker, but I can fill this building full of students that will tell you what sports and music and different extracurricular activities has done for their lives. So I cannot support that either. So, I don't want to see any schools closed. I won't vote for that. But I won't vote for any kind of sports or pay to play or extracurricular activities cut as well.
I would like to also make a comment. Definitely, I strongly believe that damage we will make, we will cause, will be way more than the cost benefit we ever get from closing those schools. So I won't be for it. On the other hand, we have to find that 3.9 million. And I don't think money grows in trees. And I was at the meeting, Board of Supervisor meeting. If they just increase 1 cent, we would have 700K, but we don't. And, we have to make a choice. And what the choice will be is not going to be fun. We're going to lose things. And I know there are a lot of solutions suggested tonight. I know a lot of them went to talk to our legislators, but we still don't have money. I mean, that's the reality, and I don't know how we cut it, where we cut it. We're not going to make everybody happy. And it's really hard to sit on the seat and get a pencil and erase. And it's not fun, and it's not going to be fun, so.
And, to piggyback that comment, too, with the tax rate, that's another thing. Right now, I can't support that. And it's not that I don't support education. It's just I see people that don't sit in this room every day that can't afford another penny. They can't afford it. And just because we don't hear from them every 2 weeks doesn't mean that their lives aren't affected every single day. And they just can't do it. And I see those people every day. And so I right now this year, I can't, after we've had so many increases, I can't support that either. Even though I stand strong behind public education, I can't this year support another tax increase.
I mean, my question or comment or, assessment is, what are we going to do?
But I don't know.
That's the reality. And then part of it comes from the fact that we have 2 big towns and a rural community. Montgomery County, I don't know how many of you can search and find another county that has the situation we have. I was checking Roanoke County Public School site and looked at their school board revenues. They have $14 million state sale tax as a revenue, besides their county revenue and their state revenue and other revenues. And I don't know where is our state's, sale tax is, but it's not in our school board budget, that's for sure, that I can see.
Well, the newsletter that comes out from the Virginia State Board of Education Association indicates, and I read that daily, but there's tons of counties that are in the same boat we're in. I mean, it's amazing. It's just amazing how bad things are throughout the county, throughout the state, which indicates to me, I wrote this first sentence here. I said, the state and the county are failing in their function to fund education. Well, I want to put the county in small print because it's the state. The state is killing us. And I just wanted to add that.
Well, I've been here the longest, and the things that we have cut from this budget in the last 4 years are things that I spent 10 years adding to this budget to make this the best county we could be. And it just blows my mind. How are we possibly going to keep the standards the way we want them if we just keep cutting? You know. So, you know, I was the one who put it on the table last week, right? Because we're in drastic times and we need people stirred up and ready to fight. Yes, folks, I know you've been out there doing that, and the supervisors have stepped up and said, okay, here, we'll help you out. But like Jamie, there are folks in this county who just can't keep doing that. They just can't keep doing that. And it's not their responsibility to keep doing that. And I'm going to say this one more time, and I'm going to say it until a sold sign goes on Old Blacksburg Middle School. There are millions of dollars in revenue sitting over there in the town of Blacksburg. And they will not rezone that property so it can be sold, so that those dollars come back to all of Montgomery County. All of Montgomery County, who helped build the beautiful new schools in Blacksburg and the old high school that now, oh, let's make that our rec department. Okay, let's do that, but here, give it to us. You know, or you tear it down at the county's expense. More money that could be going to public education. It's time that it stops. It's time for the town of Blacksburg to step up and be a part of Montgomery County when Montgomery County is in need and not just when they're in need. Now, I'll get slammed for it by the people in Blacksburg, but I guarantee you the rest of the people in the county will say, yeah, it's about time. It's about time, and it is. You know, I could not imagine putting middle school students in high school. When I was in school, there were no middle schools, so we lived that situation. I lived it. And as Joe said, you don't want that to happen in Montgomery County. Is it not fair that Shawsville would not have a middle school like the rest of the strands? No, it's not. But people in this county need to hear you all saying that. They need to hear you loud and clear. The cameras were rolling to make sure people heard that loud and clear. And I hope, and I'm going to harp on Blacksburg until they put a sold sign on that property, because they're hurting every child in Montgomery County. They're hurting our teachers who were not paid what they need to be paid, and the rest of our employees. To say, well, let's just outsource the janitors, let's outsource the bus drivers. These are loyal employees, some of them who have been here for 20 years and more, and we're just saying, well, we'll toss you aside while we make sure everything else is good. That's wrong. We shouldn't have to toss anyone aside. How we don't do that, I'm not sure right now, so I'm not committing to anything tonight. But I know what's wrong and what's right. I just can't tell you, looking, you know, the budget we have in front of us now, it's been gutted so much, it doesn't even, all the stuff I fought for 10 years before, it's gone already. It's gone already, so I'm sitting here going, what am I supposed to do now? What am I supposed to do now? You know? This is the worst. In 15 years, this is the worst that I have ever seen and could ever imagine. I can't imagine. I listen to the news and I hear other counties talking about closing schools and, their PTRs going up and all kinds of things, outsourcing their services. And I'm going, man, well, that's horrible. I know some of the bus drivers in other counties, and what they're going through and decisions that they're having to make. And some of them who literally all they worked for was the benefits that they were getting. And now those benefits are gone. These are the people who are custodians, are bus drivers, are cafeteria folks. They are just as important to our children as the teachers and administrators and our staff. We can't throw anybody, to do the pun, under the bus. Okay? But at this point, I don't know what we do.
I just want to make one more comment as far as closing of schools are concerned. I really like the people at Harding Elementary, and I know most of them on first-name basis, and that's really not right. I shouldn't have to do that, but it's because of what they've been on the table the last several years, and you get to know these folks, and I mean, Heather and I are old buddies, and is Jim O'Dowd here? Well, okay, well, I don't want Jim to go up there and give me that evil eye again. I don't want that. So here's what I'm saying. Let's make a decision tonight. The only time we close a school is when somebody goes into a new school. We've done that. We've done that. Now, there's been some talk that maybe when we did that at Elliston and Shawsville elementary schools and put them into East Montgomery, although I think that turned out, and it's going to turn out to be a great move. But that was a new school, brand new school. And we've done it with Price's Fork, and we've done it with the middle school and the high school at Auburn. Let's keep this off the table. Harding, Shawsville Middle School, no, we're not going to do that. We're just not going to do it. We're not going to do it with Christiansburg Elementary School or primary school or Bellevue. We're just not going to do it. These schools have great tradition. They have great neighborhoods. They have great staff, teachers, and they have wonderful kids. And to move them all over the county because of a pittance of savings possibly, and Joey, we don't even know yet. Let's make sure that we keep things like that off the table because it just doesn't work and it causes folks incredible angst.
I want to piggyback something you just said, Joe. Something that I was kind of called out on tonight. I want to acknowledge it about just being me, making sure that I know the people that I represent face to face. And the person who called me out on it was actually someone who's a member of my congregation where I'm a pastor of a church.
Perfect.
But, you know, it is very important. What you just said, the fact that you knew so many of those people who were going up there and speaking on behalf of Harding Avenue Elementary tonight, I want to publicly acknowledge my need to do that and to apologize for not doing it thus far. I know I'm only 3 months in, but that's not an excuse. So it is an important thing to do. Absolutely.
Board members, any other comments, statements?
Can I make one more request? I know we've already got a list of 1,000, but can I make one more request? And it may be something that already exists. I notice on line 37 of the proposed cuts that there's the projected federal decrease. That we have the number that we're not getting. Just for my sake, I would like on this sheet or on the other sheet where we actually have the budget, what are we actually getting from the federal government? Can we see that number?
Make sure I understand. You said propose
on the
cuts, or are you talking
on the
about
proposed operating budget?
Okay.
The draft there of where at the end it says that we have a difference of $3.9 million. I'm sorry, I may have said the wrong document. But there on line 37, it says that we have a federal decrease, projected federal decrease of $50,744.
That's correct.
I would just like to see a number somewhere on our documents that say what we actually get from the federal government. You know, Title II, all those kinds of things. Just be helpful to see that. And would give us actually our total budget from all of our revenue sources, federal, state, and local.
Anything else?
Got it. Thank you.
Oh, one other comment that I have. The teachers' compensation. Where is that? Line
13.
13.
Right.
It's line 13 in the cut.
Okay. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Obviously, could we, if we were to offer 80% of that, 90% of that, 70% of that, could we get figures like that that might help us to, are you with me what I'm saying?
You want a breakdown based on some percentages based on, I think I understand what you're talking about.
But we are supposed to hear in April the information about the study of doing the different kind of increase, so that might be helpful to understand the amount with that study, right?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. The report is due at the end of this month, and by the April 1, I'll have some rough figures, but I'll have a presentation or an update for the board at the second meeting in April with those exact numbers and projections of a 3-year or 5-year implementation for some kind of increases.
Will that help you, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
Couple of comments. I guess what we heard tonight, we talk about wanting to listen to the community and being transparent to the community, and the community obviously tonight has spoken. As I've heard board members' comments around the dais, it's obviously that, at least at this point, the consensus is to remove the school closing of both schools off the table. I would support that at this point, that we no longer talk about that. We can study it, but we should no longer talk about it from a budgetary standpoint. Teacher raises, it was mentioned tonight that we gave teacher raises. We gave teacher raises last year to offset the increase that was mandated by the state for retirement. There are teachers in this room tonight, if you ask them, they take home less money today than they did last year. So yes, we did give them raises, but we had to because we're trying to offset the mandate from the government. So they actually have less income coming in, okay? If we continue with that trend, the teachers that will be teaching in our schools won't be our first choice or our second choice. They'll be our third choice and our fourth choice, especially in the specialty areas. We have neighboring school divisions who are starting to outpace us in our starting salaries and overall benefits. And anyone who understands what a college graduate is faced with, the amount of debt that a college graduate is faced with, the focus is going to be looking at where can they make the most money starting out. We've worked, as Ms. Franklin has said, we have worked very hard over the past several years to offer benefits to people. We have talked about outsourcing custodial. We've talked about outsourcing various things, and the community has responded just as it did tonight by saying that was a bad idea. We have talked about pay for play and charging for athletics, and the community responded again very loudly and said that was a bad idea. So we've talked about a lot of reductions, and every time we talk about large significant reductions that are different, that are outside the box, and stretch people's comfort zones, we have groups of people who show up and say that is a bad idea, and we're told not to vote on it. So at some point in time, we're going to have to break from that. I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but we can no longer operate the school division by being told that every idea, every reduction that we come up with is a bad idea. We have property in the Blacksburg area that needs to move and move quickly. As I stated tonight, the school division has no surplus property that we are holding on to. We have expedited the move and the deed over to the county so that they can move swiftly. And I would ask those that are in those districts to show out en masse at that meeting to encourage that group to be moving quickly. I remember they came to our meeting and asked us to move quickly in our decisions when we were building and talking about building Blacksburg High School. I would like for them to return the favor. It's become stagnant.
I would go a little further than stagnant. It's right poisonous right now.
Okay. The other thing I will say, make a comment. When I sit at this dais, and when I look at my material at home, I do not make a decision based on the economic status of a student or a parent in this county.
Thank you.
And I'm appalled by the statements that some of these people made that said that we were doing just that. That is offensive to me. It's offensive to this board that we would make those kind of decisions. That we sit here and think that it's because of someone's economic status in this county that we're going to do that. And I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate it because of the work that we put into it. Okay, I respect everybody in this county. I respect every student in this county and the hard work and the things that people have to overcome. And to sit up there and say that we're making decisions based on that is just completely unacceptable, and I will not tolerate it. I think that the superintendent has tried her best to present a budget to us that is fair and equitable. It is painful. It is painful that we are going to continue to lose ground in a lot of areas. We're not going to be able to offer programs that we need to offer. I know with Ms. Franklin, we can't continue to cut the programs and not have the money. So board members, you have, if the school closings is off the list, as I've heard consensus here around this evening tonight, then you have a draft reduction that hits the $3.9 million. It's a 21 line item. And it's my understanding that that's what we should focus on at this time. Of course, obviously, if there's anything else we want to add or discuss, that's it. But at this point, I would like to limit at least my discussion to those 21 items and move forward from there. And with that, that's all I have to say, because I'm ready to go home.
You can't quite yet.
I know I can. I'm ready.
If there's no more discussion, sir, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, John.
Yes. Board members, items of unfinished business by school board members.
Did we talk, maybe this is unfinished, I'll bring it up and you can put it where you want. We need to get a gathering of board members to talk about the superintendent's evaluation process.
Right. They were going to do some updates. I was going to put it on the agenda.
Okay, good.
It's going to be on
Good.
the agenda.
Good.
We're going to do
Good.
updates. Any other items of unfinished business by school board members? Any items of new business by school board members? Hearing none, announcements and information. Any announcements and information? Hearing none, upcoming school board meetings. And I believe our next meeting is on April the 1st. And that's, I don't know if there's any irony that it's on April Fool's Day or not, but
So he's not going.
I'll go ahead and say it because people are thinking it.
Is anyone else going to the national convention?
I'm not going. No, I'm withdrawn.
Am I the only one going?
You'll be the only one in attendance, Mr. Ivers.
Oh, okay, thank you.
We have one on February the 15th. I also would like to point out that we do have a budget work session on April the 24th and a public hearing on the budget on April the 29th. So we have a full slate in the month of April. And with that, I seek a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by stating aye. Aye. None opposed. Motion is adjourned. We're carried. We're adjourned.